All right, everyone. Thank you for coming. Today we're going to go over the legislative website, and we're also going to cover the bill management system briefly at the end of class. Thank you all for coming. For those of you that don't know me or are new this year, my name is Emily Kramer. I do all of the training here at the Legislature, and I also do chamber support in the House of Representatives. This year it is going to look a little different. We will be stationed in the copy room in the rotunda as opposed to in the chamber. But we will always have someone there from the time you guys gavel in until the time you guys gavel out. So if you ever need help, please don't hesitate to come and find us. I will also go ahead and email you guys all of the handouts that I usually distribute during training. Just with COVID, we're trying to cut down on, the paper and all that stuff, plus some of you aren't here to hand a handout to. So I will go ahead and email you guys those at the end of class. And then we'll also, I know that some people didn't really get the training announcement until a lot of the training was over this year. So what I will also do is make a video of each one of these trainings, and I'll be posting these at a later time after I edit them for content. I'll post them out on YouTube, and then I will share those links with everyone too. So if you missed a class and you wanted to see it, we'll be able to have that for you as well. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. I have muted you guys all on entry to the meeting just for expediency. If you want to ask a question, please don't hesitate. You can unmute yourself. It might be even better, though, if you just type the question in the chat window. It'll pop up for me, and then we don't have any of that kind of feedback that we get when more than one person is speaking at the same time. Just eliminates a lot of that. But please, as I'm going through this, don't hesitate to ask questions if you have them. And another thing, I am going to show you everything on the website. That being said, you may not use all of it. I just want you to know that all of this information is out here for you. Do I expect you to leave this class and know this website front and back? Absolutely not. There's way too much information for that. But I do want to point out some of the things that I think will be most useful to you guys and some of the tools that I think you'll use most frequently at your job. That being said, if I don't cover something you're interested in and you want to know more about it, please don't hesitate to stop me and ask those questions at the time. And we're just going to get rid of that. So our legislative website is www.legis.iowa.gov. When you sign in on your legislative laptop, for those of you that are clerks, you will be sharing the same account as your legislator, so you will both be using the legislator's username and password. You will both have your own computer, but again, you're using the same account. Our browser of choice for our website is Google Chrome. That's where we do most of our development and testing. So again, if you're using the legislative machine that we provide for you, that is automatically the default browser, and it is automatically the home page will be the legislative home page. So it's not like you need to remember that address. Simply clicking the home button up here in your toolbar will take you to our website. And this is what our website looks like during interim. I will show you here in a second what it's going to look like during session. It kind of changes the layout a bit. But a couple things I wanted to point out just on the home page. We try to put a lot of our information that people are looking for right on the home page. So on the first day of session, this is what the legislative website page, home page will look like. We have one side for Senate business, one side for House business, and we do try to link everything from this page so people don't have to go searching for this information. We kind of try to put it all out here and make it easily accessible right from the home page. First thing to note is the Capitol picture up here in the upper left-hand corner is a link back to the home page, as is, of course, the home link right here in the black area. So anytime you're on our webpage, if you get lost or you need to quickly return to the home page, you can either click the home button up here or simply click on this picture of the Capitol in the upper left to return yourself to the home page. Up here in the top black area, we also have a couple of other ones. If you're new here, there is a frequently asked questions section. Again, just some of the questions that we get at the help desk as well as chamber staff get with some answers for you. So the big question that we get at the help desk is, when does the legislative session convene? If you click on any one of these questions, it'll give you a brief description or answer of that question. It'll also give you the path to take to get to that information on our website, and usually there is also a link as well. So you click on this session timetable link for this example, and it shows you the first day of session, which this year is January 11th. So we do try to put out some of those frequently asked questions for you. This is organized based on the tab structure that you see along the top of the website. So we've kind of tried to put these questions into the section or their location on the website for you, so you can kind of know what topic you're dealing with and the questions relating to that specific topic. There's also, throughout our website, little play icons. They look like YouTube icons because they are YouTube icons. And these denote video tutorials. So if you want to know more about using the FAQ and the sitemap, you can click on this little play icon. It will launch about a 5 to 8 minute tutorial of this functionality on our website. And again, because it's a public-facing website and we know a lot of people aren't as familiar, especially in the general public, we want to make this as easily accessible for people as we can. So we do try to post a lot of training content, documentation, and then video tutorials as well. And I assume that's going to continue to grow now that we're doing a lot of things virtually this year due to COVID. But I'm just going to return to the home page here. That was your frequently asked questions. Again, the video tutorials will already be posted next to the tools that they explain. So for example, if you wanted to know more about this quick find, you could simply click on the play icon here. However, the video tutorials section will actually just give you a listing of all of the different video tutorials that exist on our website. So we have a lot of video tutorials relating to our legislative document research tool, our subscriptions options, the quick search boxes, and then different site information. I'm going to cover most of this with you during class today, but this is just a good place to go if you ever want to know more about the website or you want to see what video content is available. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to go back to my home page. Again, this is how the page will look on January 11th. Right now, if you go to our website and you're following along, this is how our page looks, and that is by design. Session doesn't officially begin until the 11th, so we can't officially change the layout until that date. But you will see that this layout will change on January 11th to this session view. The next thing you'll see are these quick finds over here along the left-hand side. Real quick, easy way to navigate to current legislation, current code, and Iowa Acts directly from our homepage. Current legislation is defined as anything within the GA. So we are starting a new GA this year. GAs last 2 years. Because we're starting a new GA, this will be all of the bills from this year, and all of the bills into next year will be considered current legislation. So right now, bills aren't drafted, they haven't been introduced, so some of this might not work the way that we want it to, but I think they haven't rolled it over yet. But it's pretty straightforward. The first toggle here just indicates that you enter in a bill number. Now, this doesn't have to be a Senate file or a House file, which is abbreviated HF or SF. It could also be a study bill, it could be a resolution, it could be a joint resolution. Any piece of current legislation will work in this Bills Quick Find. So I'm just going to type in a bill that I know has information, which is SF 510. You don't have to be real specific on the format. As you can see, I'm not capitalizing those. I'm not putting a space in between the letters and the numbers. It's pretty intuitive, and it'll know what you mean. So you can either hit enter on your keyboard or click this little magnifying glass icon to launch your search. Now, they've already rolled it over to the next GA, so this is what I thought was going to happen. Let me just do it on the current one. We haven't rolled this one over yet. So if I type in a bill number, what it will do is it will pull up the most current version of this piece of legislation in this Senate File 510. It'll give you the full text of the bill over here along the right, and then all of the bill information is over here on the left in our bill book application. And we'll cover this more in depth as we get to that section of the website. But a very quick way to navigate to current legislation right from your homepage, if you know the bill number. Now, if you don't know the bill number, we've put in this second option here for a keyword search. And a lot of times, especially in the public, they don't know what the bill number is, but they may know what the bill deals with. So you can put in a keyword or phrase here and find all the current legislation relating to that keyword or phrase. So if I were to type in a word like safety, and again, either hit the magnifying glass icon or enter on my keyboard, it will launch a search in our legislative document research tool and pull up all current legislation relating to that topic. So as you can see, there are a lot of results here. It's found 1,328 results. I'll show you later on how you can limit your search results and work with them, but this is just a real quick way to hopefully find the content that you need right from the homepage. And again, depending on that search term you enter, there may be a lot less of these. I picked a term that I know has a lot of results. So I'm going to go back to our legislative homepage. That was your bill number or keyword search. You can change that by simply clicking on either one of those toggles and entering the information. We do try to put a little EG here in ghosted text to tell you the kind of data that we expect to be entered into this field. So for keyword, as you can see, it's a word. For number, it's the abbreviations here. For those of you that are new, SF is a Senate file, HF is a House file. S followed by a number would be a Senate amendment. H followed by a number or a dash and a number is a House amendment. SR would be a Senate resolution, HR a House resolution, HJR, House Joint Resolution, SJR, Senate Joint Resolution. These will all start being second nature to you before you know it, but those abbreviations are necessary to use this tool here. So that's your bill quick search. The next one is your Iowa Code Quick Search. And again, it gives you a little EG here for the format to use. I'm just going to use the example given, which is 7E.1. Enter that in, hit enter on my keyboard. It pulls up a printer-friendly version of the most recent version of this code section for you. So again, if you wanted to see an older version of this code section, this isn't the way to go, but this is the most recent version of this code section in a printer-friendly PDF format for you. And then lastly, we have your Iowa Acts here. As you can see, it allows you to choose the General Assembly. We also put the year in parentheses next to it. Some people know it by year, some people know it by GA, so we went ahead and posted both. You can choose whatever GA you'd like, enter in the chapter here, and again, it will pull up a nice printer-friendly copy of the most recent version of that Iowa Act chapter for you. So again, quick, easy way to navigate the content right from the home page. Now, I'm going to go back to our test website so I can show you a little bit more about what's visible on the home page here. So again, on January 11th, page layout will switch over to this. And we try to put all of the information that people are usually looking for relating to the House and Senate right on this home page here. So the first thing that you'll see are links to live video in the Senate and the House. You simply click on whichever one you want, and it will pull up the live video. There is about a, I'd say, 5 to 10 second delay, but it is pretty close to being, not having too much buffering or anything like that. It is pretty current. If they are not in session, you'll see something like this, which is just a splash screen indicating that they're not meeting right now. Sometimes there will be words on it, maybe saying recessed until 3 or committee block meeting. Basically, it'll write over top whatever's going on. If we've adjourned for the day, it will say that as well. And then when you click over here, you'll see that the action will follow along with the video. So as they are introducing more amendments and they're voting, this will always update in real time as well. And you'll see that it will add content down here at the bottom as we move through things. So this is just an example of the live one. I hate how that covers up my tab, so apologies for waiting a second here to get back to it. Totally. There we go. Okay. So those are the live. Obviously, it's only going to work when we actually are in session. They record once we gavel in, and they stop recording when we gavel out. So that can happen multiple times throughout the day. Again, it just depends on the day. There are also some additional video options here. There's one called Daily Archives. And right now, this is going to go to the next GA, but let me just go to a past one here. And this will show you all of the videos on a given day. So again, as I mentioned, we can gavel in and out multiple times in a day if they're going to committee meetings and then coming back to vote, et cetera. So what this does is it shows you all of the videos that have been recorded. It'll give you a date and time stamp of when that video started. It'll give you the duration of that particular video, and then there's also a hit count here, and that's mostly for media. They want to know how many people are watching at a given point in time. So even though I clicked on the Senate Senate Daily Archives, I can toggle quickly to the House by clicking on the House link here. And again, you probably saw me do this, but I didn't really explain how I did it. On any of our tabs on the website, if you see a General Assembly picker at the top, you'll notice that it looks like this, and it has a little arrow next to it. It is always going to default to be the most current session. So right now, as you can see, it's already toggling to go to the next session. What you can do by clicking this arrow is go back in time and see previous information from previous GAs. So if I wanted to see floor action from the 87th GA, which was 2017 to 2019, I would click there, and then the content on the page would update accordingly for me. So you don't really have to go to the Archives tab very much. You can usually use that GA picker to navigate back in time to find the information from a previous session or GA if you wish. There are also little breadcrumbs throughout our website that kind of give you the path that you took to get here. So we were on the home page. They all have a actual home, but you can link to them from several different locations on our website. So this one tells you that you're on the Senate and House tab. You clicked on the Senate and House video, and then we clicked on the Senate and House floor action video archive. Now, as you know, we actually clicked right here on Daily Archives, but that's the actual home of it. So sometimes we'll link to it from various locations on the website, but it just has one location where we keep everything. The most useful one and the most used one, I would say, is the Bill Archives option. And the great thing about this is you can see the video for just a particular bill's debate. And this is generally what people want to get anyway. They want to see the debate on a particular bill. So again, there's nothing right here right now, so I'm going to go back to a previous year, and it will show those. It'll give you the bill. Clicking on the bill link will take you into our bill book application where you can see all the information on the bill. It'll give you the date and time that the video is recorded, duration of the video, and again, a hit count here. So if you just want to see the debate that happened on Senate File 93, you can click this. The video will launch when they started debating the bill. It will end when they finish debating the bill. And as you can see, some of these were debated multiple times. So you'll see multiple links for those particular bills, and you'll have a date and time stamp to denote which debate that was when it happened. Go back. And the last one here is live audio. This one isn't near as popular since we gave a video component, but it is still possible if you just want to listen to the audio from the chamber. You can click on this. Now, right now, they're not broadcasting, so you're going to get something like this that says, file you requested could not be found, and that's because they're not broadcasting. This will work once they are in session and actually speaking, but until that point, nothing will happen. We'll talk a little bit more about this when we get further in the website. There is the Senate floor votes by bill and House floor votes by bill. This is pretty new. We launched it last year, but it was kind of a soft launch. We didn't really advertise it too much. But this is a really handy tool. A lot of times people are interested in how legislators voted on a bill, obviously. And usually you can get the count on the website, but it doesn't tell you who voted which way, which is sometimes the information that is needed. So what you can do, and again, this is going to the most current GA, which is not started until January 11th. So I'm going to go back and click to show you previous information. But it gives you this page where you can choose one chamber or both chambers. You can select a date range here, and then you can even filter out a particular bill if you're interested in a particular bill here. And it will show you all of the votes that have happened in that time frame. So this is all the votes that happened last GA between February 6th, 2020 and June 14th, 2020. You can click on the bill link to pull up the full text of the bill and the information in Bill Book. It'll give you the short title of the bill here. If it was formerly a different bill number, that bill number will be linked as well, and you can view the content for that previous version of the bill. It'll tell you when the vote happened, where the vote happened, either chamber, House, or Senate. And then it will give you the date, when it was affected. It'll give you the number of ayes, the number of nays, the number of absent or not voting. But the vote PDF, if you double click on that PDF, will take you to a page that shows you how each legislator voted. So to correspond with those numbers, here's all the people that voted yes, here's all the people that voted no, here's all the people that were absent or not voting. And I'm not sure that that's going to work seamlessly because we are in test. So yes, it will pull up, but right now it's in test and I can't show you that. There's also the amendment votes option here, which is semi-new as well. Any amendments that were voted on, we go ahead and list the information on that vote as well. So if it's a Senate amendment, when it was voted on, date and time, and then again, you have that vote PDF to see how many people, or which people voted yes, which people voted no, and which people were absent or not voting. So a great tool. You also have the option to export this information to Excel. So if you want to generate an Excel spreadsheet with this information and edit that however you wish, this allows you to do that as well. So a handy tool. Oops. Go back to the test website. We have our tentative Senate debate calendar and our tentative House debate calendar. These are all the bills that are eligible to be debated on a given day, not to say that they will be debated on a day. What this shows is essentially all the bills, like I said, that are eligible to be debated. There's different rules for when certain bills can be taken up on the floor. So this shows all the bills that are eligible to be debated, not to say that they will be debated. Most times I'd say the Senate is pretty true to form. When they put them on here, they usually debate them all. The House is a little bit different. Sometimes they'll add bills to this midday or they'll remove bills. This is to be taken kind of with a grain of salt here. But it does give you an idea of all the bills that they should be prepared to debate because they can be called up at any time. And then we have our Senate and House floor action. This will update in real time. So as we're moving through and doing debates or people are speaking, this will go ahead and update in real time for you. Right now it is showing the last day of session, which was June 14th of 2020, because we had a special session during summer because of the whole COVID thing. So this will update in real time as they're going through and debating different amendments or bills. This will update in real time. You'll always be able to see right on the home page exactly what's going on in both chambers using this little box here. If I scroll down, I also have the meeting schedule for House and Senate. So these would be all the standing subcommittee meetings on bills, appropriation subcommittees, et cetera. All of the bills and the committees are linked. Clicking on a bill will take you to the bill book application and show you all the information on that bill. Clicking on the committee will show you the information pertaining to that committee, including membership, bills in committee, et cetera, which we'll talk about here a little bit more later. This also updates in real time. So as committee meetings are canceled, as new ones are scheduled, this will always be current. Like I said, there's a very small delay, but generally it's pretty accurate. So as those things are happening, again, you can see all of the meetings scheduled for the current day right on the home page here. And then as you scroll down, these are the popular links and popular publications that you see during the interim here. So if you're used to accessing a link right here, it's still on the home page. You just have to scroll a little further down to get to that section here. So that's the content once session begins. There is also up here a context-sensitive search of our website. As you can see on the home page, it's going to search publications. You do have the option to change that to site here, but basically this will launch a search of our website. So for example, if I wanted to search for enrolled, I could hit the enter key. It will again launch the search engine on our website, which is the Legislative Document Research tool, and show me everything relating to that particular term. Now again, this is going to be a lot of results, so anything you can do to narrow down your results in a search is going to be very helpful so you don't have to go through each of them individually. So what I usually do is use the context-sensitive option. So what I mean by that, if I am on the legislation tab, for example, you see how this changes to legislation as the default search. I can choose to search publications or the entire site, but this is our way of kind of limiting those results for you. So now if I search for the word enrolled on just legislation and hit enter, you can see that there are quite a few less results here. Less results for me to go through, and then I'll show you a little later how you can narrow this down even further. But take advantage of that search if you're not sure where to find something. And again, that's just right on the home page, or you'll see it on any one of these as you click through each one of these tabs. They will update depending on your location on the website to kind of narrow down that criteria and give you less results. At the bottom of our website is this section in black here, and this section will follow you across our website, so all of these are easily accessible throughout. The first one to point out over here is the Webmaster Address. If you have questions, concerns, want to report a problem with the website, this is a place that you can write into, just like the help desk. But the general public doesn't have access to the help desk except for the phone number. They don't have the email address. We don't post it. So this is a place where they can write in with their questions and problems. I check this every day, so I do try to get back to people in a timely fashion. There's also the help desk phone number right here. So if you ever forget what it is posted right on our home page, and all of our pages actually on our website. If you scroll down to the bottom here, it'll give you the phone number for the help desk. Now we are open right now every day from 7:30 to 4:30 during the week. During session, we do have someone that takes that phone home every night, and we have someone that takes the phone home over the weekend as well. So even if you're calling outside of hours, someone will generally pick up and be able to help you with your problem. That being said, if you call at like 4 in the morning, we might get back to you when we wake up at 6 or 7, but generally you'll always have someone that you can reach out to get some help if you need it. And then we have these other links down here. The first one is the intranet. This is only accessible for people inside the Capitol and only people with an internal account. It's not that we're hiding anything, it's just that there's some information out there that's not official. For example, draft committee minutes, things of that nature. So anything on the intranet, you can't share with the general public. That's just by design. You won't see this link if you are outside of the Capitol unless you're using our Citrix application. Now, if you're on the premises, you'll see the intranet link as soon as you sign into our website. But we'll come back and talk about that here at the end of class. The next one over is the sitemap. And again, if you're unfamiliar with our website, this is a great place to go. What it does is it breaks down our website, again, by tab. Each one of these boxes represents a separate tab up here at the top along the website. And we just list all of the links that are present on each one of those pages. So instead of having to go through the page and kind of dig deep to find where these links are, it just posts them with one click here. So you can quickly get to, for example, the weekly calendar. By clicking on it, it'll take you right to that page. The thing I really like about the sitemap, though, is the find feature. So if you're on the sitemap and you hold down your control key and you click F, and this is pretty standard across the web, what it'll do is it'll pop up this little box right here, and you can enter in a search term. For example, enrolled. What it will do is it will highlight every instance of that word in the sitemap for you, and then all you have to do is click on that link to be taken right to that page on the site. So that can be handy as well if you're unfamiliar. And that was our sitemap. The next one over is careers. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You guys already have careers here, so it's not going to be a big issue for you, but this is where people come to apply for page positions, House Secretary, et cetera. So any job openings at LSA or in the House or Senate will be posted here. Contacts. This is another good place if you're new to visit, as it will tell you who to contact for various issues. First thing you'll notice over here along the left is the Capitol mailing address. If you've ever tried to Google the Capitol mailing address, it's very unhelpful. It just says Capitol Building, Des Moines, Iowa, and gives you the zip code. It doesn't actually give you the street address. People still do write to their legislators. They still kind of need that address. We went ahead and posted it out here just for easy access. And you can use it too if you need to know the street address for the Capitol. It's right there. We've also posted kind of this table here that gives you contact information for the Senate, for the House, for Senate and House representatives or senators, and then various questions. If you have a question, for example, about bill drafting and legal services, it gives you the contact group right here, their phone number. If there's a page on our website that talks about them or gives you additional information on that group, you can click on that to be taken to that page on our website. So this is a good place to come again if you have questions about who to contact for various issues. Again, there's a little play icon up here, which means you can click on this to get a brief video tutorial of exactly what I'm telling you right now. Our website operates on kind of a tab, sub-tab basis. So even though I'm on the contacts page, you can see that there are several sublinks over here along the left. By default, it's going to go to legislative contacts, the first one here. There's also this links to legislator web pages. This is an option for any legislator to do. These are all maintained by these particular legislators, and they don't have to take advantage of this. Some of them want to add their link here so that people can visit their website from our page. Some of them don't. So as you can see, there's just a few people that have taken advantage of this. Anytime you go to one of these websites, anything party affiliated, it's going to pop up this page that says something to the effect of, you're leaving the state-supported website, we're not responsible for the content of the page you're about to visit, etc. All you have to do is click here, and it will then take you to that website. But if you did have questions or wanted to talk to someone about the content of this website, you would have to talk to that particular senator or their staff because they are the ones that actually maintain this site. So if your legislator wants to be on this page or they want to put their own personal website on here, you can talk to Maureen in the Senate or Kathy in the House, and they can help you put the website address out here. Again, this is completely up to a legislator whether or not they want to use this option. They can if they wish. It's not required. The next one is related sites. And these are all just out here for easy access. You can, of course, do a Google search and find the executive branch website here, but this is just out here for easy access. You can quickly navigate to the Iowa Executive Branch website, Judicial Branch, the State Library, the Law Library, etc. So these are just out here for easy access. And then this last one, other state legislatures' websites, you can put in a state and it'll allow you to get right to that website. And then the federal government. These are all of the people that represent us at the federal level here. This will be changing over again when session begins for them. But right now, these are your elected officials. Again, clicking on any one of these links will take you to their page. You're going to get a message like this saying that we're not responsible for the page content that you're about to go to. Hit that click here link and it'll take you right to their web page. And then we have some federal links down here, quick links to the U.S. Senate website, House of Representatives website, the White House, etc. So again, just out here for easy access if you want to take advantage. The next one over down here in the black is our applications link. This is what we call the portal sometimes. Sometimes we'll also call it the sign-in for BMS or committee forms. This is basically how you access all of our internal applications here at the Capitol. And the reason that we did it this way is so you don't have to actually sign in from home. You can access this portal from any computer with an internet connection. Again, if you are a clerk, you'll be using your legislator's username and password. So you will need to talk to them to get that information so you can sign into their account. You guys are sharing the account. But you type in your username, your password, you hit login, and then it gives you access to all of those internal applications. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get further into the website. Again, there is the help desk phone number right down here. So if you forgot that it's right here, it's also right here. You guys already all have accounts, so you won't be creating an account. That's for new users. This would be where you sign in with your legislator's username and password. Everything has already been set up for all of the legislators' accounts. Subscribe. There is an option here to subscribe to various content via email. So this is something that you can take advantage of, but more often than not, I tell people to direct constituents here. If you have a constituent that's constantly emailing you for information on a particular bill or a particular subject or committee, you can direct them here. They can sign up to receive those notifications via email, and then they don't have to keep checking the website. Anytime something happens, it'll shoot them an email and let them know, and then they won't be bothering you all the time for that information when they can just sign up to receive it themselves. Again, there's a play icon here, meaning this will launch a little video tutorial of how they can subscribe to various content. And just to point out, you guys are already subscribed to all of the content that you need with regards to all the legislation your legislator is sponsoring, all of the committee information, et cetera. This is if you want additional information. And this, again, it's mostly set up for public members so they can sign up to get updates on a particular bill or get updates on a particular topic. But the first one here that you will see is the subscriptions. There's administrative rule changes. I'd say that's mostly for executive branch people. There is this Bills and Rules Watch application. I'll talk about that a little bit in more depth toward the end of class, but this is where essentially people can create an account and sign up to, again, be subscribed to legislation, rulemakings, Iowa code sections, et cetera, and I'll show you that here a little bit in a second. Anytime you see a PDF icon next to something, that denotes written instructions on that tool. So if I click on this, here are some written instructions on using the Bills and Rules application. We do try to post those throughout the website, again, so people can have information on using these various tools. And again, this one will launch a video tutorial of not just subscriptions, but also the Bills and Rules Watch application if you prefer to watch. There is this capital notification system. This is one I do recommend you guys sign up for. I'm just going to go ahead and sign in here so you can see what this does. It does look a little bit different for me because I'm staff and I have some different permissions than you guys do. But basically what it does is allows you to subscribe to a capital notification system. So for legislators, there's one here that's emergency alert. There's another one that says caucus. So if you enter or you select the caucus one, enter in either your email address or your phone number or both, you'll get a text notification when they go to caucus, and you'll get an email notification when they go to caucus, depending on what you've entered here. And then all you do is choose the one that you want, enter your information, hit the subscribe button, and then it will show you down here what you've subscribed to. The emergency alert is generally if there's, you know, an active shooter at the Capitol or inclement weather, stuff like that. Again, the caucus one is mostly what legislators care about. It's really nice if they're outside of the chamber and they start caucusing to get an email or a text message that lets them know they need to go down to the caucus room. And that's the capital notification system. It's also in the portal, so if you don't want to click down here on subscribe and get to it that way, you can click on application, sign in, and then it's available through the portal here as well, right there. And now that I'm signed in, I'm going to go ahead and sign out just because it's going to be a little more confusing if I don't do that. So that's subscribe. Again, you have all of these various options here. You can subscribe to various committees. Again, your legislator has already subscribed to all of the committees that they are members of. This is if they wanted to subscribe to committees that they are not a member of and get information on those. There is the ability to subscribe to various executive branch departments, legislative subscriptions, all the publications that LSA puts out both during and after session, and then reports required to be filed with the General Assembly. These are submitted to the legislature from various executive branch departments, and if you subscribe to a certain department, anytime they file a report, you would get an email notification of that. So again, you have all of these options on the main page. You also have these additional options over here that pretty much correspond to exactly what you see on the main page. So administrative rule changes, clicking on that one takes you to this page. They mostly all look similar. Legislative subscriptions looks very similar as well. Basically what this does, it allows you to check the boxes next to the ones that you want to receive. It does give a little bit of a brief description of what you're going to receive if you sign up for this particular email. You just check the boxes for the ones that you want. Scroll down to the bottom here. Enter your email address. This can be a personal email address, it could be a legislative email address. It's open to anyone in the public. So again, this is a great place to direct constituents if they want to sign up to receive notifications on various things. Enter your email address, check the box, prove you're not a robot, hit subscribe, and then what will happen is you will be sent a confirmation email. The reason for this is because anybody can come in here and enter anyone's email address and start subscribing them to content that they may not want. So what we do is we send you a confirmation link. Clicking the link in the email will then subscribe you to receive this content. You'll get a nice little message that says you have successfully subscribed to this particular listserv, and then from then on, anytime something happens, you'll get an email notification. This can be changed at any time. What you can do is simply uncheck the same boxes for the ones you no longer want. Scroll to the bottom, enter your email address, again, prove you're not a robot, and hit unsubscribe, and you'll be unsubscribed at that time. The good thing about signing into the website, and when I say sign into the website, I mean click on the applications link and sign in using your legislator's username and password. The good thing about being signed in is that if you are on the subscriptions page, it will automatically tell you what you have already signed up to receive. So for example, here I can see that I'm already subscribed to the daily debate calendar in the Senate and House. I can see that I've subscribed to the daily legislation and session daily. And then if I want to make changes, it just updates it in real time. So as you can see, I uncheck that. It says your unsubscribe request has been received. You've been removed from this list. Likewise, if I want to select it again, I get a nice little message saying subscription request has been received and is processing. You should start receiving emails from the items you subscribe to. No further action is required. So if you don't sign in, you do get that confirmation email that allows you to click on the link to confirm your subscription. If you sign in and do it this way, no further action is required. You simply check the box, and it knows to send you those email notifications with the email address that you signed in with. So a lot of different options here. Use these as you see fit. Again, this is really more if you want additional information. You guys are already signed up to receive everything that you need, which pertains to your particular legislator. And I'm going to go ahead and sign out here. You can always tell that you're signed into the website because you'll see the username up here at the top, and then you'll also unlock some additional functionality like I've just shown you. So I usually stay signed into the website, but in the interest of showing you guys what you're going to see and not what I see, I'm going to leave myself signed out. And then lastly, oops, not lastly, but next, we have our ADA policy, online privacy policy, and disclaimer. If you have a lot of time on your hands and you feel like getting really bored, go ahead and read those. They're just legal stuff that we have to post out there. But this is what you'll see again on January 11th. Right now, it's going to look like this. That is by design, so if you go to our website today, this is the view that you will see. You'll only see the popular links, popular publications, and the interim committee schedule. January 11th, it will roll over to update into that new format. Are there any questions on what I have showed you so far? Anything that doesn't make sense or you'd like me to repeat? Nope. Okay, I will take your silence as a we're good. If not, go ahead and, as I said, you can always type in something in the chat window, or if you want to unmute yourself and speak, that's fine as well. But that's our home page. The next tab we're going to talk about is the Senate and House tab. Now, a lot of this content is going to be visible on the home page once session begins anyway, but this is the location of it during the interim and during session as well. So you can always access this content here. The first section we're going to see is in the chambers. Again, this pretty much mirrors what you're going to see on the home page once session starts. You have links to the audio for House and Senate here. There's a live link. Again, if you click it and there's no sound, that just means that they're not broadcasting. There's nothing broken. They do archive that, so if you want to listen to audio from a previous day, you can do so. Again, this isn't near as popular as it used to be because we have the video now. It is always good if you're in the chamber to be muted on your computer. We do have headphones that are available for your use. You can come find us at the help desk and we can get you a pair of headphones. I'm not going to lie, they are super crummy headphones. We get them at the dollar store. So if you have better headphones, I recommend you bring those. Just saying that because it's always a good idea to not have extra noise on the floor. You might get in trouble for that. Not usually, but you might. So there's the audio options here. There are instructions for downloading the software to listen if needed. And then as you scroll down, here's the video information. It does say streaming of the proceedings is available whenever the chamber is in session. So again, if you click that link and they are live, you'll see the video. And if they are not, you'll see that splash screen with some text saying what's going on in the chamber at that particular time. Again, the daily archives will show you videos from previous days. They start the video when they gavel in, they stop the video when they gavel out, so there may be multiple videos on a given date. Bill archives, again, is where you can access videos for the debate on a particular bill. They will start the video when they begin debating the bill, and they will stop the video after they've voted on the bill. So this is a great way to see just the debate on a particular piece of legislation. Viewership report is here. Again, that's mostly for the media that are interested in how many people are watching the video at a given time. And then we have this both option here that's not on the home page. And this is exactly what you'd expect. It'll show the video for the Senate on this side, the video for the House on this side, and depending what's going on, you'll have two different videos and two different sounds starting up for you, so you can always use the buttons down here to mute it. You can use the buttons down here to either make one of them go full screen or dismiss the other one. It's up to you. And it does give you a little brief instruction saying the House and Senate video will be side by side. Current floor action will be underneath each one of those video panels. The chamber display board. Those of you that have been in the chamber before know that there are those two big screens on either side of the well where the President of the Senate and or the Speaker of the House sit. And on the boards are generally written what's going on at a particular point in the chamber. So if there's a committee block, it'll list all the committee blocks, their locations, their times. If you're in the chamber, all you have to do is look up at the well. But this is for everybody else in the public. If anything's written on those boards, it will display here on this page. And right now they don't have anything written on there, so the page is blank. Today in the chambers, these are a schedule of chamber events and meetings published daily during session. What it will do is it will take you to a page like this, and then you can adjust the contents up top to adjust the contents further down the page. So for example, I clicked on the House link, it's going to choose the House by default. If I want to change that to the Senate, I would simply toggle the radio button to the Senate. By default, it's going to give you all of the various committee types here, standing, approach, subcommittees, council interim, and public hearings. If you don't want any one of these, you can simply uncheck the box next to them. And again, the page contents will adjust accordingly based on your choices up top. There's also a date range selector here. By default, it's going to show you the current date. However, if you want, you can choose, a 2-week or 2-month date time. Obviously, nothing has been scheduled at this point, so it's not going to give me any additional information. But you'll be able to adjust this date, begin and end date, to see additional committee meetings that are going on in that date range. And then lastly, you have the ability here to select some other committees. The Administrative Rules Review Committee is another one if you want to see that. By default, it shows you everything. So unless you just want to narrow down to that particular committee, you'll see everything. If nothing is scheduled for that particular committee type, you will see that here. It'll say no meeting scheduled. And this is, again, updated in real time. So as committee meetings are scheduled, as they're canceled, you'll see that that content will adjust accordingly. Back to the previous page. That was our Today in the Chambers. The next ones I'm not going to click on because, again, nothing has been scheduled at this point. But you can see the daily and 2-week standing committee schedule in both the Senate and the House, and the daily and 2-week schedule for subcommittees on bills in both the Senate and House. Clicking those links will pull up that content for you. Again, nothing has been scheduled, so I'm not going to click the links right now and just get a blank page. This next section here shows you all of the various calendars that we use throughout session. So the first one is the session timetable. This is subject to change. However, if it does change, we go ahead and post the most accurate recent version of this. So this should always be the most up-to-date copy. This just takes you through the various important dates throughout session from the first day that we gavel in, which this year is January 11th, through when debate is limited by rule, various funnel dates, and then, of course, the last scheduled day of session, which is almost never the actual date that we end, but is the last day that representatives are getting their per diems, and it's generally the last days that clerks are in the chamber as well. So this year we're starting a new GA, so there are 110 calendar days in the first year of a GA. There are only 100 days in the second year of a GA, so we have 10 extra days this year. Those are calendar days, so that's not to say that those are working days. That's how that works out. Again, April 30th is the per diem end, not necessarily the adjournment date, but that is the target date for adjournment. There is a session timetable archive here, so if you want to see those session timetables from a previous year, you can click on that, choose the year, and see those from previous years. There is a weekly calendar in both the Senate and the House. You guys will generally get these via email or in paper form on your desk anyway. These are just very, very basic blocks when stuff is going to happen. So when we start session for the day, if there's a committee block, it'll show those. These aren't updated in real time. So this is a static document. Sometimes it's out of date halfway through the week. So I definitely recommend you use the home page or the committee page that updates in real time as opposed to this one. That being said, this is something they always posted, so we go ahead and post it on the website as well. There is also archives here, so if you want to see weekly calendars from previous weeks, you can click on those and choose those dates. Debate eligibility calendars. Again, this is, we talked about a little bit earlier, the regular calendar or the daily debate calendar. The daily debate shows the bills that are eligible to be debated on a given day, not to say that they will be debated, and the regular calendar is similar. It gives you a little bit of information here about what each one of these different links will show you as far as content, but generally you guys are concerned with the regular calendar and the daily debate calendar. Back to the Senate and House tab. Scroll back down here. The next one is the social calendar, and this shows you a listing of all of the various events that are going on in the Capitol building during session. Now again, it is on a Google Calendar that is maintained by Megan Nelson, the chief clerk, so it will give you that little message saying you're leaving our state-supported website. As you can see in January, there start to be some events here. You can click on an event in the calendar to see more information about date, time, description about these. This is something that if you're a new legislator, we've gone ahead and added for you to your Outlook account, so this is just a separate account showing the social calendar. You won't be editing the social calendar, however, you will get updates. So if additional events are added and you've subscribed to the calendar, you'll get those updates. However, you won't be adding content to this calendar. This is maintained by the chief clerk's office. Of course, you can come up here and move to various months. If you want to go see February and the events from there, you can do so by just selecting it up here at the top. And basically, it also gives you some additional information here. If you have questions about the social calendar, you can call or email Megan Nelson, and there's the contact information. So this is how you can add events to the social calendar if you need to. You can't actually do it yourself, but you can call Megan, and she can update the calendar for you. And basically what this is for is to let you know if there's a free lunch at the Capitol. I don't know how if we're going to do that with COVID, but generally that's what people care about. If Hickory Park's coming and giving us all a free meal, or Hy-Vee or whoever else, this is where you can see those events and where they're going to happen. And then Capitol Complex events. This one is maintained by the Department of Administrative Services, DAS. So this shows you all of the events that are going on in the entire Capitol campus, all of the other buildings in addition to the Capitol building, like the Miller building, the Lucas building, etc. So just all of the events going on in the Capitol complex, not just the Capitol building. You guys are mostly going to be concerned with the social calendar, but we post that other one out here for easy access. That was in the chambers. The next one down, debate eligibility calendar, we already got there by clicking in the chambers and then clicking that debate eligibility calendar link there. This is the same content, just another way to get there. We found some people look for it here, some people look for it there. So a lot of times you'll see repeat links on our website just because we notice that some people are looking for it in different locations. However, the content remains the same. Go back. That was clicking the debate eligibility calendar. Again, I got to it initially by clicking the debate eligibility calendar down here at the bottom. Same content, just two different ways of getting there. Senate and House daily action. Again, this will be posted on the home page during session, but during the interim, this is where this kind of lives. And right now, it's going to show you the last date that we were in session, which was Sunday, June 14th, 2020. Again, you can go to the other chamber by clicking on the House or Senate links here. And again, you can see previous day's action by clicking the House and Senate ones next to the archive link. You can do the same thing by clicking over here. These are exactly the same as these two. So it's going to take you to the same place, just two different ways of getting there. House and Senate journals. You can click here to view those. Generally, as far as the journals go, you guys are mostly concerned about who voted which way. I've already showed you one way of doing that with the chamber votes that are posted on the home page. I'll show you how you can do the same thing in Bill Book. So you probably won't be looking at the journals per se unless you're looking for vote information. I'll show you an easier way to do that. However, these are all posted out here, so if you need to access a journal for either chamber, you can do so by clicking on these links to pull up that content. And then lastly is the chamber rules. This is a question that we get a lot at the help desk. People want to know, what the dress code is, the behavior that's expected if you go to the chamber. They're going to cover all of this with you guys at orientation. So this isn't something that you need to read by any means. Like I said, we just posted out here because it's a question that we get quite frequently at the help desk. So if you want to read these, great. If not, they're going to go over everything with you at orientation. So this isn't something that you need to take time to read if you don't want to. Is there any questions on the Senate and House tab before we move on? No. Okay, moving on. The next one over is legislators. As you can imagine, this contains all of the information pertaining to legislators. The first one I'm going to point out is the most used one, and that's Find Your Legislator. This allows the general public, or you guys or whoever, to come in here and enter an address, a city name, zip code, county, or school district, and find out the person that represents that particular area. It seems like sometimes constituents just pick a legislator out of a hat and start writing that person with what they want them to know. However, they really should be contacting their elected official for their area. So all they have to do is type in their address here and then hit the search button, and it will pull up the person that represents that area. Now, a lot of people are concerned about entering their physical address in here. This isn't anything that we save. This is just a database query. So all you have to do is enter in your email address, or sorry, not your email address, your physical address. It'll pop up down here with some suggestions. If you find the one that you need, you click right here, and then it pops up the legislators that represent your area. You'll get a nice color photo of your legislator. Clicking on their name will take you to their page on our website that gives you all the information about that particular legislator. Clicking on their district number will show you a map of the area that they represent. So it's very straightforward. Again, this is just a database query. We don't save this information. We don't use it in any way. I do recommend that if a constituent is coming here, that they use the address search or the interactive map search. It's just going to give you the most accurate results. What I mean by that, if you use, for example, city name or zip code or county or school district, sometimes there may be an overlap. So if I choose a particular city here and hit search, in this case, it's not, but it could be represented by multiple legislators because it doesn't know the exact pinpointed location on a map. You've just given them a city. And sometimes two representatives or two senators can be representing the same city depending on where the address is depending on who represents them. So these are a little bit more vague. They're not quite as accurate. However, of course, it's still good to use. So if you want to see who represents the area by school district or county or zip code or city name, you can absolutely do that. Again, the one that I usually recommend is the interactive map. This functions a lot like Google Earth. So what you can do is click on a location on the map and kind of drill deeper into that section. So for example, if I wanted to see a little bit closer on the map, I can click on that. It'll pop up my representatives and senators over here along the left. Again, clicking on their picture will take me to their page on the website. Clicking on the district number will take me to a district map of the area that they represent. You can also enter in an address up here as well. So if you want to type in an address, you can do it that way as well, and it will pull up your representatives and senators that way. Good thing about this that I really like is sometimes a person may say, hey, you're the person I need to speak to, and you find out you're actually not their representative. There is an option down here where you can actually create a link to this content. So for example, they say, I don't know how to use your search tool. You can generate this URL, send them this link, and then it's going to pop up this page and have run the search already for them. The other one goes a step better, and actually I prefer to use this one. If you click on this little envelope here, it's not going to pop this up for you guys because it'll already know that it's Outlook. However, if I click on Outlook, for example, it's going to open up a new email message and put this information right here in the email for you. and then all you have to do is type in the person's email address that you're sending this to, and it quickly runs the search for them essentially and gets them right to that page. So that may be handy for you as well. And that was the interactive map option. The next one over here is leadership. Very straightforward. It gives you a listing of all of the legislators in leadership positions in both chambers. You will notice that there has been quite the shuffle in the House. So if there are members that were previously holding that in the same GA, you'll see the former membership over here. Again, this will roll over on January 1, and we'll be starting a new GA, so you won't see the former stuff until people start moving around. However, you can hover over any one of these names to see a nice color picture of the legislator. Clicking on the legislator's name will take you to their page on our website, and this is essentially what we create for all of the legislators. We put their name, the General Assembly up top, the chamber that they're in, the party that they're in, the district that they represent. Clicking on that will take you to a district map of the area that they represent. It'll list all of their committee memberships here. Again, if they have changed committees, it'll give you date stamps for when they served in that other committee or when they previously served. Down at the bottom, a little bit of contact information. By default, we only put people's legislative email and the Capitol phone number. They each have a phone at their desk. So that's the only information we put out there by default. In this case, Speaker Grassley also elected to put out his home phone, his home address, and occupation. Again, that's something that you can talk to chamber staff about if your legislator wants more information posted here. But again, the only thing that we post is legislative email and Capitol phone number. There's also this additional information about Pat Grassley. Subscribe to Pat Grassley's newsletter. This is a place where people can come. Legislators send out a newsletter each week on Thursday that basically give their constituents an update about what happened at the Capitol during that week. And people can sign up to receive those. They generally do so by either emailing the legislator and asking to be put on the list, or this option allows them to come in and enter in their information, and then they're subscribed to the list automatically. So that's another place you can direct constituents if they want to be included in the email. And then lastly, up here we have all of the legislation that Representative Grassley has sponsored here, all of the bills, amendments, any bills he's a floor manager of, and any subcommittee assignments. If this is a legislator that has been here for some time, again, you can use this little drop down here to go back and see, for example, the first GA that he served was 82. If I click on that, the content of the page adjusts accordingly, the picture updates according to that time, and then, of course, their membership and all of their other things update accordingly. If there's somebody that's been here quite a few years, you can click this View All Years option and then kind of see how everything has changed from year to year. I'm sure they just love the date progression on the pictures, but it's kind of interesting. So if you have a legislator that's been here for some time, you can see all the information from all the previous GAs they've served as well. That was leadership. The next one down is senators. Very straightforward. Senators, representatives, and current legislator information, they're all going to take you, senators and representatives are going to take you to the same page. It's just going to select one chamber or the other based on which one of these links you clicked. Again, it is going to default to the most current session. This will roll over on January 11th, but right now it's showing last GA's membership. You'll see that, again, you can toggle between the Senate and the House by just selecting the various radio button here, and the content of the page will adjust accordingly. You can select both chambers, and this will put everyone in alphabetical order regardless of chamber. Otherwise, it's going to show in alphabetical order just the Senate members or just the House members. You also have the ability to sort by party here. You'll notice that there's not just Democrats and Republicans. There's independents and greenbacks and Whigs and unionists, parties that no longer exist. The reason for that is because you can go back in time, and we do have this information going all the way back to the very first General Assembly in 1838. You can click on that and see the legislators from that point in time, hover over their names, and you get a nice little picture. We do get contacted a lot by family members of people who have served before saying, my great-great-grandfather served in this particular General Assembly, here's a photo. So we do collect all of that information and post it out here when we get it. No, there are not emails and phone numbers from 1838. It's amazing how much we get that question. So no, email wasn't around back then, so hence no email. Phone numbers, same thing. So again, depending on what you've chosen up here at the top, the content of the page adjusts accordingly for you. I'm going to go ahead and take it back to a more recent General Assembly. As you can see, the table gives you the chamber that the legislator is in. Hovering over their name will take you, will show you a nice color picture. Clicking on their name will take you to that page I showed you for Speaker Grassley that shows you all their committee information, all the legislation they've sponsored, contact information, etc. Clicking on the district number will show you the district map of the area they represent. It'll show you their party, the county, and then their email address. All email addresses are linked, so all the person has to do would be click on one of these. It will put that person's name in the to field of a new email, and then they can just start typing. All of these are sortable. Any of the column headings that are underlined means that you can sort by that criteria. So like I said, this is sorted alphabetically by last name. If you want to see this by district, you can click on the district column header, and as you can see, it reorganizes the table by district number. If you want to see it by party, just see the Democrats at the top, the Republicans at the bottom, alphabetically. You want to see it by county. This is up to you. It's not changing the content of this table at all. It's just changing how it's sorted. So use this as you see fit. If you scroll down to the very bottom here, you get a nice count. Again, this shows you how many Democrats and how many Republicans are in each chamber. If there have been former members, it will show you that information down here and show you when the person was a serving legislator and when they left. So again, all of this information will update on January 11th when we get all of our new legislators sworn in. So the senators and representatives goes to the same page, just selects one or the other of these depending on what you chose. Current legislator information. The first one, legislator list, takes me back to that same page, except instead of choosing Senate or House, it shows both by default. So it's the same information, again, just changing what you want up here at the top will display that information lower on the page. Personal financial disclosures, these are basically forms that each one of the legislator has to fill out each year. So again, clicking on the legislator name will take you to their page on our website. Clicking on the disclosure is either a scanned-in copy of what they filled out, or we also have an online system where they can fill it out and type in those fields. So these display those. Go back. Then there's also the committee listing by member and the member listing by committee. So just two different ways of viewing this information. Again, this hasn't updated yet, I don't believe. No, it has not. It will update on the first day of session. So this one shows you the members and then shows you all of the committees that that member is on. If they have a leadership position, a chair, a vice chair, or a ranking member on a committee, that will be denoted here as well. And then the other one shows member listing by committee. So instead of showing you the member and all the committees that they're on, it shows you all of the committees and all of the members of each committee. Again, chair is noted, VC would be vice chair, and then the asterisk denotes a ranking member of the committee. If you are clerking for a chair, a vice chair, or a ranking member of a committee, you will be attending committee forums training, which is where we send out the meeting notifications, record the votes, record attendance, etc. If you need to be there, the House and Senate staff will make sure that you are. So I'm not going to go over this now because it only pertains to clerks that are clerking for someone in a leadership position on committees. That information is there. Historical legislator information, while very interesting, is not something I think you guys are going to spend a lot of time on, so I'm not going to really cover this. But basically, there is an option here where you can enter a name or a GA and see everyone who has served in the legislature ever with that last name or from that GA. So kind of interesting historical data, not that you guys will use it often, if ever. District maps and data. I've already shown you throughout how we have those district maps linked next to each legislator. However, this gives you some additional options for different maps. So if you want to see it in color or black and white, or you want to see congressional districts as opposed to Senate or House districts, you can do that. There's different just formats, different options that you can do. There's statewide and individual district maps here. There's an interactive legislative and congressional district map. These are completely, out here for your use, not to say that you need to use them. Again, most of the district maps pertaining to your legislator are already next to their name on the website. There is one called District Profiles that I do find rather handy. It basically gives you some Census Bureau information depending on the district that you choose up here at the top. So if you want to choose, for example, Senate District 2, it gives you some census data. There's information on the counties, the school districts. There's a geographic breakdown. And again, this is just posted out here for your use. If you want to take advantage, cool. If not, no worries. And then we have information about the redistricting process. This year is 2021, so there will be redistricting this year. Every 10 years, those lines are redrawn. So by default, it's going to show you the most current 2011. Once 2021 happens, that will be the most current, and that'll be what's shown by default. But you can see previous years by just clicking any one of these dates to go back and see how they looked at that point in time. And then if you have a lot of time on your hands and you want to know more about the process of redistricting, all of that information is here as well. Are there any questions on Legislators tab before we move on to legislation? No. Okay, moving on. The next one is legislation. This is probably where you're going to spend most of your time, and this is where you'll be looking at bills, amendments, etc. You'll notice over here along the right are the same 3 quick finds that we saw on the home page already. So a quick way to navigate to current bills by number or keyword, quick way to navigate to current Iowa code sections, and a quick way to navigate to current Iowa acts. Or I shouldn't say current here, you can actually choose the GA and chapter to pull that up. The first one you're going to see here is a list of pre-filed bills. People have already started requesting bills for the upcoming session, both legislators and various executive branch departments. I think their deadline is actually either coming up or has just passed. So people are already starting to request bills for the upcoming session. And this is what this shows. It'll give you the date that we received those requests, the document. If there's a background statement attached, you can click on any one of those to pull that up. Again, this has already been updated to the 89th session. However, if you want to see pre-filed bills from previous GA, you could simply click the arrow and navigate back in time, and the page content will adjust accordingly for you. I'm going to close some of these tabs up here at the top so we don't have quite so many open. So that's your pre-filed bills. The next one down is bill book. And anytime you look up a bill on our website, if you use this bill quick search over here by number, it's going to drop you into our bill book application. And also, if you're clicking a bill link on our website, this is again where it's going to drop you. Bill book contains all of the information about a particular piece of legislation in one place. So it's definitely a tool I recommend you get used to using. First thing you'll see when you click on this, there is an option to choose by category. This is mostly for the public that may not know the bill number. So what this will do is it'll launch a search of our website. Let's say they're interested in bills pertaining to education. They would click on that category. Again, it would show them all 553 bills that pertain to education for the current General Assembly. But generally, you guys are going to know the bill number that you're looking for. So I'm going to focus on that. Again, you can choose the category here to launch a search, but more likely you're going to be typing in a bill number. Again, this will default to the most current GA. Right now, it hasn't flipped over to 89 yet. On January 11th, it will. You're going to type in the bill number. Again, this doesn't have to be just a Senate or a House file. It could be an amendment. It could be a resolution, any piece of current legislation. And again, the GA starts over this year, so all the bill numbers are starting over again. So you're not going to be able to look for like Senate File 500 because we're starting at 1. So what you want to do is type in a bill number. And again, I'm just going to pick one that I know has some information. Hit go or enter on your keyboard. It pulls up the most current version of that particular bill. In this case, I've chosen a bill that only reached introduced status. So let me try to find a better one. If you don't know the bill number to type it in, there are some drop downs here that you can use. You can select it from the drop down in addition to just typing it in. So if you prefer to just click on the bill to do it this way, it will pull up in the right pane for you. Once you reach a bill that has enrolled status, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have the letter that the governor actually signed, and then as you continue to scroll, this is the final enrolled version of the bill that was actually signed into law by the governor. So again, there are various versions of a bill. Depending on the bill that you're looking at, it'll pull up the most current version. In this case, the enrolled version is the most current. You also have the option here, just like in the quick search, to put in a keyword. Again, this is going to launch a search of our website if you want to know all the bills dealing with a particular keyword. But again, if you're using bill book, 9 times out of 10, you know the bill that you're looking for. So as I mentioned, it is going to pull up the most recent version. If you pull up the enrolled version, there are no amendments for the enrolled version because it's the final version. What happens initially when a bill is read in, it's the introduced version. And then it's debated by a certain chamber. There are amendments introduced by either chamber. So when there is an amendment, you will see an amendments drop down here. So for the introduced version, there is this amendment. If I choose this amendment, it's going to split my screen. It's going to give me the bill that's being amended up here at the top and the amendment that is amending the bill down here in the lower pane. So it will tell you where it is going to make changes to the bill. So each one of these numbers represents a change that it's making to the bill. So the first action it's going to do is on page 5 after line 14, it's going to insert this text. Rather than scrolling up here to page 5, line 14, if I just click on this little link next to it, it's going to take me right to page 5, line 14 in the bill. So I can quickly see what area of the bill this is going to be amending. There are different versions that you can pull up here. If you want to see a PDF or printer-friendly, uneditable version of the bill, you can click that icon to pull that up and print it off. Whoops, went too far. If you, whoops, where did my, there we go. This one is an RTF version. Essentially what this means is it's going to drop the content into Word for you. So if you want to have this in a Word document, so you can make notes on it or whatever, this would allow you to do that. You can do the same thing for the amendment down here in the lower pane. If you decide you no longer want to see the amendment, you simply click this little red X. It goes away and just shows you the bill right here in the main pane. And again, there are different versions of a bill. There's the reprinted version. Once it is voted on by one chamber and amendments are introduced, it goes to the reprinted version. The reason this is pink is because it used to be printed on pink paper, and so they went ahead and just maintained the same look for the electronic version. So the reprinted version would be the new version after those amendments were introduced or not, and this would be what the next chamber debates. And again, if there is an amendment, it will show that. If not, it will say that there are no amendments for the selected bill, meaning the version that you've chosen has no amendments. Up here at the top, if you want to, again, quickly print off the current page, you can click the little printer icon. This one will give you bill book documentation. So again, just a brief written tutorial of how to use the tool, which is what I'm going over with you right now. But again, we post all of these out here so people can get familiar with using the tool, even if they aren't eligible to take my class. So let me just close out of some of these up here so we don't have quite so many tabs open. There we go, back into bill book. I'm just going to pick one of these here. So the next section that you'll see down here at the bottom is the bill history. It's going to show you the last 5 actions that have happened on the bill, starting with the most current. So the last thing that happened was on June 30th. It was signed by the governor. Clicking on the journal link will open up the journal page that pertains to when the governor signed it. Again, all of these journal references are linked, so they will open up the journal page that discusses this particular action. There's a show all option, so if you want to see everything that's happened on the bill from the time it was introduced until in this case it was signed, this will show you that. Or there's an enhanced bill history, and you can get to that by clicking on the bill history heading, and this will show you some additional information about the bill. So the first thing you'll see right away is the status. It's signed by the governor. This is an enrolled bill. You'll see the floor managers. These are the legislators that are responsible for the debate on either floor in both the Senate and the House. Lobbyist declarations, clicking on that will show you all of the lobbyists that have declared on this bill, the client they declared on behalf of, and when they made that declaration. And then, as you know, bill numbers like to change. So sometimes the House and Senate will be debating a very similar bill, and at one point they'll adopt the House version over the Senate or vice versa, and that indicates that the bill number gets changed. So what these related bills are is essentially all the different versions of a bill. There is a 4-digit Lsb number here, in this case 5007, that you can use in our Bills and Rules Watch application. You can follow the Lsb number, and then if the bill number changes, you'll still be notified via email if that happens. Now again, that's not really pertinent to you guys so much because you guys are already going to get emails for the bills that your legislator and committee is sponsoring. But this is really helpful to the public when they use the Bills and Rules Watch application. It'll give you the committee that it came out of, short title of the bill. If it was formerly a different bill number, it will list that. It'll give you the effective date and the applicability date if they are different. And then, as I mentioned, it'll show you everything that's happened. So in this case, from the time it was introduced and placed on the calendar until June 30th when it was signed by the governor, you get the signed copy here. Again, just like when you pull it up in Bill Book, there's an Acts chapter that goes along with it once it's enrolled, and then there's a summary of legislation, which is basically like a little Cliff Notes of what this bill actually does without all the legal language in it. A little easier to understand for those of us that aren't lawyers. And then if you continue to scroll, you get information on all the related bills as well. So you can see if this bill was, it looks like this one was withdrawn, so that's as far as this bill ever got. So it'll show you the related bill information as well if you continue to scroll down, which may be helpful. I'm going to go back. That's your bill history. If you want to print that off, again, there's a little printer icon here. And almost on all of the pages on our website, there is a print icon in the upper right. So if you ever want to print exactly what you're looking at, you can click that to print the current page. There's also a permanent link here. And this is more for people that are posting links to certain content on their website and they want it to link to certain content on ours. So for example, if some executive branch department wanted to always link to this particular bill, they could click this permanent link and it'll generate a URL where they can put this on their website, and even if we change our website location, it's always going to go to this page. So that just alleviates them having to do a lot of updating on their website. Maybe not so much for you guys, but it could be handy if you want to create a URL for somebody to get to this bill quickly. And if you continue to scroll down over here on the left, there's even more information. NOBA stands for Notes on Bills and Amendments, and then there's also fiscal notes. If there are NOBAs or fiscal notes, you'll see this section. If there are not, that section just won't be present. It really does depend on the bill and the version that you're looking at, and then the content adjusts accordingly based on that. So you can see that information by clicking on those links if you wish. As I continue to scroll, all of this related information, most of it is contained on that bill history, enhanced bill history. So again, you get all the different versions of the bill here, the floor managers, the lobbyist declarations, the acts chapter, the bill subject index, summary of legislation, again, those cliff notes. And then here you can get some comparison documents. So if you want to see how the introduced bill compares to the study bill, you can click on that. And then it'll give you what's called a little output file, and it'll show you all the changes that happened between the study bill and the introduced version. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, it kind of gives you a key of what the various information means. So you can choose those as you see fit. When you are here, you will see the study bill to the introduced version. Unless you go through Citrix, you won't see that. The general public doesn't see the study bill conversion. They only see the reprinted and introduced and enrolled examples. And then we quickly have the links right here to the video of the debate for this bill. So if you want to see the House debate, you click on that link. If you want to see the Senate debate, you click on that link. Again, if they've debated it multiple times, there will be multiple links under each chamber. You can click on the one that you want to pull up that video. There's a search in bill option. This allows you to type in a word, and it will go through the bill and highlight every instance of that word. We're still kind of tinkering with that right now, so I'm not going to click on that, but it will work for you once session begins. And then sections affected. If there are Iowa Code sections affected by the bill, those will be placed here. If not, you'll see that it'll say none. And then there's this tag topics. What we did a couple of years ago at LSA was kind of create one large indexing terminology that exists across all of our products. So now, for example, if I click on a tag topic like driver's licenses, in this case, I was on the bill book section, so it thinks I'm looking for legislation, which I am. I can quickly click on this tag topic, see all the information for all the bills that relate to driver's licenses in the current GA. And that's your bill book application. So definitely a useful tool to get used to using. Almost always when you're linking to something on our website, if you're linking to a bill, it's going to drop you in here. That's by design just because we have all of the information on the bill in one place. So I'm going to go back to our main legislation page. That was our bill book app. There's clip sheets for the Senate and House. This was, again, something you could subscribe to. But basically what this does, it shows all the amendments, fiscal notes, and conference committees on a given day, depending on the chamber that you chose. So, again, you have the ability to go back in time using that little arrow. Page content will adjust accordingly based on what you've chosen. But you simply choose one of the dates here, and then it gives you this document that the Senate and House prepares. It gives you all of this information that happened on this given day. Bills and Rules Watch. Let's talk a little bit about this. Again, I'm not going to spend a super lot of time on this because you guys are already going to be subscribed to the content that you need. This is only if you want to subscribe to additional content. But this is a great place to direct constituents if they have questions. Lobbyists use this tool a lot, and you are going to do that, to create basically and give themselves email notifications when something happens on a piece of legislation or from a particular topic. So I've already created several collections here. If you sign in the first time and you've never used this before, what's going to happen is you're going to see like a step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's going to walk you through creating a collection. Now, I've already done that, so it's taken away the tutorial because it assumes I know what I'm doing. So I've already created these several collections over here along the left. You can create as many of these as you want. You can add whatever content you want. It's open to anyone in the public. So if you click right here on the question mark, this again pulls up the nice written instructions on using the Bills and Rules Watch application. I also showed you where there's a video on the subscribe tab that also explains this tool, but I'm just going to briefly touch on what this can do. First thing you're going to want to do is create a collection. You're going to click on that little plus sign, and you're going to name your collection. The only people that have access to this collection are the people that sign in as you. So you and your clerk are the only people that have access to this. You can name this whatever you want. It doesn't have to be super fantastic. Maybe this is a smoking bill or whatever. You name it whatever you want. Put a description in if you wish. That is optional. You don't have to. And then you click Save. And you've essentially now created the folder that everything's going to go in. So I haven't actually added any content to this collection yet, but I've just created the collection. You'll select the collection over here at the left, and then you will set the different settings in here. Clicking on this gear icon will pull this down and allow you to change your email preferences. So you can click on report frequency. By default, it's going to send you emails daily. You can change that to weekly, monthly, or do not send. And then you have the ability to change how many history action counts you want. So by default, again, 3 actions. If you want to change that to 5 or all actions, you can do so by selecting those here. And then you would simply collapse that by clicking the gear icon again. You can make those changes at any time. If you want to add another description or change the description that you have, you can click on that there. Again, it's not required, so you don't have to add a description. Up to you if you want to include that. Actions. What this will do is once I start adding content to this collection, it's not going to work right now because I don't have anything added. But what this will do is it will run a report in real time. So let's say I had subscribed to 5 different pieces of legislation, and I hit this action button at 2 p.m. What it will do is it will show me everything that's happened on those 5 pieces of legislation for the current day. We do run this every 2 hours during session. So if you set your email to get this daily, you will get yesterday's action today, because it's going to be the finalized version. So you're always going to be a day behind. It's going to finalize it, and it's going to send you a PDF of the previous day's action when you send them to receive it via email. What this does is it runs it in real time. So if you want to see everything that's happened on the current day and not wait until the official version tomorrow, you can run that during session every 2 hours, and it'll give you what's happened. There's the ability to export here if you want to export this information into an Excel file. You can do that as well. And again, it just asks you to select how many actions you want here, and then click that Excel button to export that to Excel. Next section here is actually where you're going to add content to your collection. So the first option is, it looks like somebody's not muted. Here, I'm just going to mute you real quick. There we go. So what you're going to do is you're going to select the legislation that you want to subscribe to. So you can do that by entering a bill number. Again, it could be any piece of legislation, so SSB would be a Senate study bill. You can enter it in, put in a comma, type the next one, say add document, and it will add those, and it says error right now, but that's all right, because I didn't select a good one. So the other thing you can do if you don't want to type them all out individually is there's a little arrow here. Again, this will restart on January 11th. Right now we have 2 years worth of bills in here that you can subscribe to. But what you can do is simply select them by clicking them. And if you want to select multiples at one time, you can hold down your control key to select multiples from any one of these lists that you like. When you're done making your selection, as you can see, I scroll to the top here, and it basically puts all those bills in there separated by a comma. You say add document, and I'll let them know that that's acting funny. Error in Rules Watch. Okay. So you just add the content that you want, very straightforward. Anytime something were to happen on any of those pieces of legislation, you would get an email notification to alert you of that. This other one, we talked about a little bit in Bill Book, this Lsb number. All the bills that are related to a specific subject have the same source version or Lsb number. So if you're in Bill Book, for example, I'm just going to close out of this, go to Bill Book, I'm on the home page, and I select, again, Senate File 510. All of these bills are related to Senate File 510, and as you can see, they all share the same 4-digit number. Don't worry about the suffixes here, those only mean something to drafters. But the 4-digit number you can use. So if I subscribe to Senate File 510 and this bill number changes, I'm no longer going to get updates because technically bill action has stopped for that particular bill that I've subscribed to. If I use the LSB number and another bill comes out with that same LSB number or source file, even if it's a different number, I'll still be notified of the change. Now again, this isn't really particularly necessary for you guys because you're already going to be subscribed to all of the content for the bills that your legislator and committees are sponsoring. But this is something that a lot of lobbyists and people in the general public use. So you can type in the LSB number, say add rule, and now anytime a bill with that LSB number comes out, you'll be notified of that as well. You can subscribe to content by sponsor. Again, you're already going to get all of the emails for legislation that your legislator sponsors. This is if you want to subscribe to another legislator, for example, and see all of the bills that they sponsor. You simply choose them out of the list here. To select multiples, you hold down your control key to select them. It does list Senate first, and then if you scroll down, the representatives are just further down the list. So it's not alphabetical, it's alphabetical by chamber. And then you would just say add rule. Anytime a legislator sponsors a piece of legislation, you'll get an email notification of that. You do the same thing with committee. Again, you're already going to be receiving all the bills that you are a committee member of. But this is if you want to subscribe to additional committees. So if you want to subscribe to the Ways and Means Committee and your legislator is not part of it, you can do that here. Anytime something happens or they sponsor a new piece of legislation, you'll get an email notification of that. And then lastly, there's the department here. You can subscribe to various executive branch departments. If they sponsor a piece of legislation, you'll get an email notification of that. This one, to committee. Slight difference between the two. If you subscribe to a committee up here, it's going to give you all of the bills that the committee has sponsored. If you subscribe to a committee down here, it's going to give you a list of all of the bills that have been assigned to this particular committee. So that's the difference. And again, you can choose your committee, hit add rule. Anytime a bill is assigned to that committee, you'll get a notification. There's a place where you can input an Iowa code section here if you're interested in a particular code section, and you type that in. Anytime a piece of legislation is going to affect that code section, you'll get an email notification of that. And then if you have a particular drafter that you know that you want to subscribe to, you can do that as well by selecting them here from the drop-down. And then up top, we have some additional tabs here. The next one is a Rulemaking tab. If you want to subscribe to a particular ARC number or you want to subscribe to a particular administrative code, Iowa Administrative Code chapter or rule, you can do that here by either typing it in or using these arrows to select down and narrow down what you want to subscribe to. Anytime something were to happen with this administrative code section or rule, you get an email notification of that. And then we have the topics and categories, which again go back to that whole indexing taxonomy I talked about. We've got one large indexing taxonomy across all of our products now. So if you don't know the code section that pertains to education, or you don't know the bill number that pertains to this particular education, you can select a topic here, and anytime something comes out that's tagged with that topic, regardless of what it is, you'll get an email alert of that. So this is really useful to people in the public who aren't sure about bill numbers or code section numbers, that you usually need to track those things. So what you can do is you can either start typing. It does have a kind of a guess feature like Google does here, where it'll start to guess what you want. You do actually have to choose a topic. You can't just freeform type one in because they're all obviously actual topics that we use to tag. So what you'll do is you'll select your topic, say add rules. When you click that, it's going to ask you what content you want to subscribe to. By default, it's going to give me all legislation relating to that topic, all rulemaking documents relating to that topic, and any publications relating to that topic. You can uncheck whatever you don't want. Maybe I'm just interested in legislation, and hit save. And now anytime a piece of legislation comes out that's tagged with that topic, I'll get an email alert. As you can imagine, this is a very long list, so you can scroll through it, or there's also these letters along the left here that you can click on to quickly navigate to a different section of the list. You can select as many or as few of these as you want by simply checking multiple boxes at once and then hitting that add rule button when you're done. So the topic is a more narrow search. The category is very similar, except that it is a much more broad search. So you're going to get a lot more results with a category subscription than you would with a topic subscription. And they're also organized a little bit differently, but same concept. So instead of being alphabetical here, it's more hierarchical. and I'll show you how this kind of duplicates functionality we have in our search engine. But anytime there's an arrow next to each one of these, that indicates that you can narrow the content down further. So maybe I'm interested in agriculture, but only part of agriculture. So I hit the little arrow here, and it gives me some subtopics. Maybe within that, I'm only interested in crops. I can click this arrow to navigate further down. Once I get to a point where there's no arrow, that means that's as far as I can go. So this is the lowest section I can get. I can subscribe to just crops in agriculture, for example, without having to get all of the agricultural land products, all of the other categories underneath this particular big category. So again, when you do a category, it's going to ask you what you want to subscribe to, check or uncheck whichever ones you want or don't want, hit save, and now anytime a piece of legislation comes out, because that's what I chose, it's going to let me know with an email. So this is how you can add content to your collection. If I scroll down, it's going to show me all of the collection rules. The rules are what are going to add content to my collection. So because I subscribe to the Lsb number 1512, it adds particular bills to my collection. And if another one were to come out, it would add that bill to my collection. You want to see what content was added based on the rule here. If I select the little checkbox in front of this rule and I scroll down, it's going to put in red all of the bills that were added to my collection because I subscribed to that Lsb number. So here, House File 327 was added because I had that Lsb number. Senate File 510 was added because I had that Lsb number. So you can kind of check and see how many were added based on the rules over here. Just by checking the box, it'll allow you to see what was added to your collection as a result of that rule. You can copy these rules to another collection. You can move them to another collection. You can lock them. Locking essentially means it's going to stop updating. So if I was interested in Lsb number 1512 last year, obviously bill numbers are starting over this year, so I could lock it, and now it won't continue to give me updates on that Lsb number. It'll just be static. If you need to unlock something, how do you do that? With a key. If you lock it and you realize you don't want to lock it anymore, you can use the key icon to do that. So hitting the lock. Now I'm going to stop getting updates. If another bill comes out with this source version, I won't get an email. If I want to continue getting emails again, I would check again the box, hit the key, and now I would continue to receive those. If you want to remove any of these, you'd simply check the box in front of the ones that you don't want, hit the trash icon. There's always going to be a confirm, so don't worry about hitting that trash and accidentally moving something. It's always going to ask if you want to confirm that. If you say yes, now at that point it removes that content for me. And then in the last table here, this shows all of the documents that have been added to my collection, either because I subscribed to the legislation or because I created a rule that added the document to my collection. So there's several options here. The first one, you can upload a specific document to your collection. So maybe your legislator has a particular Word document that they want to add to their collection. Obviously, it's not going to update. It'll be a static document, but you can add that if you want to keep them all together. There's an option here to, and this one is very handy, search for a keyword or phrase. So you have all of these documents, and as you can imagine, this list gets quite long, and it's very tedious to go through and have to try to find something with a particular keyword. So what you can do is check the box here in the column heading, which selects everything in your collection. Click this, and then type in a word like education. Oops, I could type. Hit search. It'll say how many documents it found in your collection, and as you can see, it highlights them in yellow, so I can see, okay, here are all the bills in my collection that deal with the topic of education. Again, you can move these documents, copy them over to another collection. You can export this entire list to Excel, and you can remove any of them by checking the box and then hitting the little trash can icon here. You can also add notes to any one of these, so maybe this is the bill I want to follow, whatever. Type that in, and this note will then carry over and will always be at the bottom of that particular result. If you export it to Excel, that note will follow you. Just something for your use. And then there's also this option here to prioritize documents. By default, it's going to just put the most recent document added to your collection at the top and then backwards chronologically. Clicking the little star in front of something means that that will always sort to the top of the list. So maybe out of these are the ones I really want to watch. Anytime I hit refresh or revisit my Bills and Rules Watch collection, all the ones that are tagged with a star will remain at the top. If I want to remove that, I simply click it again. It's just a toggle. So it'll give you the legislation, the version of the legislation, Again, the bill numbers are linked, will take you into Bill Book. It'll show you the source version of a bill or Lsb number. It'll give you the GA. It'll give you the title, if it was formerly a different bill, the effective date, when it was published, and then if you click on this little arrow here, this basically launches bill history. So just like you see in Bill Book, you can see the bill history right in Bills and Rules Watch as well. And we link the videos, we link the journal references, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see all of that information from Bills and Rules Watch as well. And then the last thing that we added this year is this meetings on bills. And this was basically at the request of a lobbyist who said, I follow all these bills. It would be really good to know if there was a committee meeting that was happening on any of these bills without me having to always check. So whatever, actually it works for all collections. So any bill that you've added to your collection, if there is a subcommittee, or sorry, if there is a meeting on that bill on the given current day, it will show you here. And I think if you scroll down, we created it, so if you scroll down, you can see the next few days. But it'll always show right here. And then you can always print this off or see a printer-friendly version by clicking on the PDF. Now, right now, there's no meeting scheduled, so it's not going to work, so I'm not going to click it. But as meetings start to be scheduled, you'll see that this will update, and you'll see any meetings that pertain to any of the bills in any of your collections right here, which is handy. And again, everything I've shown you in Bills and Rules Watch is for anyone in the public. Anyone can create an account, anyone can sign in and create collections and get email notifications. So again, it's a great place to direct constituents if they have questions about a particular topic or bill or what have you. That was our Bills and Rules Watch application. Again, I'm just going to sign out here again so you see what I see, and I'm not jumping ahead on some different stuff. Daily legislation, this is the electronic bill packet. This used to be handed out to all legislators in paper form, but as we're trying to go greener, we've made this electronic now. What this allows you to do is essentially select a date here from the drop-down. I'm going to pick one in the height of session here. And it will show you all of the bills, study bills, amendments filed on a given day. It'll also show the fiscal notes and NOBAs for the given day. So kind of a little history. There's a subscribe option here, so if you want to subscribe to get this via email, you can quickly do that here. Go back. And then Session Daily. This is very similar, except instead of showing you all the bills and amendments that have been filed, this one shows you all the actions that have been taken. So you can choose a date here from the drop-down. You can see all of the bills voted out of the Senate, voted out of the House, sent to governor, et cetera. And again, by unchecking any one of these, you can simply remove that information from the bottom here. So if I just uncheck a few of these, and I scroll down, now you can see just the bills voted out of the Senate and just the bills sent to the governor. So you can narrow down your search that way. There's a PDF icon here, so if I want to print this off in a nice printer-friendly version, I can do that as well. So that's your Session Daily and your daily legislation bill packet. Directory of legislation, I'm not really going to go over this too much. Basically, it's like a little cheat sheet. So you come to the help desk and you say, Senate File 400 something, and I know what it deals with, but I can't think of the number, and so I can't look it up in Bill Book, and I don't want to run a search. So what you can do what you do know. You know it's a Senate file. You know it's somewhere in the 400s. So you can click on that range, and they'll give you the short title for all of the bills in that range. So you can kind of try to deduce which is the one that you're looking for based on the short title. And then you can click on the link to take you into Bill Book and show you all the information on that bill. Bill history, again, this just shows all of the action that has taken place on a bill. I prefer to do it in Bill Book, but this is another way to do the same thing. You click here, you pull up a bill, and it shows you everything that's happened on the bill from the time it was introduced until the last action. And it takes you to this enhanced bill history page in Bill Book. Back on the bill tracking tools. The next one down is your bill subject index. This shows you a list of all the bills by subject matter. So if I were to choose a date here, what happens? I'm not sure if they're still working on this or not. I always tell them not to make changes during my training, but inevitably it happens. So sometimes things don't load as quickly as I would like, so apologies there. But I'm not going to wait around for that. So trust me when I say that's what happens. Bill request logs. This is directly tied to the bill management system. So there is a setting in BMS, and I'll show you here at the end of class, where you can mark a bill request as either confidential or non-confidential. Now, if you mark something non-confidential, just to get this out of the way, we are never, ever, ever going to post a bill draft on our website that hasn't been expressly approved by your legislator. So even if you mark it non-confidential, we're only going to show a little bit of information. So let me show you what I mean. And all of the non-confidential bill requests will be what displays on this page. So if your legislator doesn't want anyone to know what they're working on, they can mark it confidential. It won't show up on this page. They mark it non-confidential, it will. However, we only show very little information about it. So I'm just going to pick on Senator Whiting here because he's got quite a few bills that he's requested already. So you choose the legislator name, and then this is all the information we're going to post. When we receive the bill draft request, if there's an Lsb number assigned, we'll put that here. If not, that will be blank. When a bill number is assigned, that column will be filled in and it will be linked. Then we're going to put the working title of the bill and the category that the bill is in, and that is all. We don't post the bill draft until it's been approved by your legislator, read in on the floor, and at that point it's a matter of public record. It's the introduced version of a bill. But if you don't mark it non-confidential, this is the information that will display. It's not a lot, but some legislators prefer to keep it completely private, and so we give you that confidential setting in BMS to make that happen. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into BMS. But as you can see, there's various people that can request bills. There's, of course, legislators, which some of them have already started requesting. Governor's office can request bills. They haven't done any for the upcoming session. And then there are departments. Executive branch departments can also request that bills be drafted. So when they do that, we post them here. Again, same information that you would see from a legislator. If the bill was sponsored by a committee as opposed to a legislator, you can see all of the committees that have sponsored legislation for the upcoming GA. And then there's also this category. So again, this category is related to all the categories that you see on our website. We categorize all of the bill requests that we get, and so everybody can pull up all the bills relating to that specific category. So just a little history on the bill request log. Codes and Acts sections amended. Clicking here shows you the relationship between the codes and acts and legislation. So it'll give you the code reference here, the action taken, the bill or section that amended that, effective date, applicability date. If the governor signed it, there'll be a link to that signature document, and then the action here. So this just shows the relationship between the code and the acts sections amended for bills. There's a list of similars and companions. Again, this shows that relationship. As I mentioned, sometimes the legislature will have the same bill going in both chambers. There'll be a Senate version and a House version, and those would be similar. And then there's companion. Sometimes a bill references another bill in its language, so that would be a companion bill. So this just shows the relationship. It gives you the host bill, the related LSB or bill number, the companion, and then the similar. And actually, that should be showing LSB and not bill numbers. Let me write that down for our programmers. Okay, we'll get that fixed. And again, you can look at any one of these links to pull up the full text in Bill Book. Disposition of bills. This shows a listing of all of the bills in the last action. So your legislator says, whatever happened to Senate File 1? Well, looking at this, it says there was a committee report approving bill, and it was renumbered as Senate File 307. So now I know, okay, I got to go to 307. That's where it happened. And it'll also give you the date that the last action happened. So if action stopped on a bill like it did for Senate File 1, this is how you can find that out very quickly. And then lastly, there's this bill version tracking. I don't use this very often because, again, I just use Bill Book for this. But if you want to, again, put in a bill number and see all the bills related to that bill, again, all the bills sharing that same 4-digit Lsb number, this is another way you can find it outside of Bill Book. So everything I've just shown you is our bill tracking tools. The next one down, find legislation. This one is pretty straightforward. If you want to see a list of bills by bill number, click that one. If you want to see a list of bills by sponsor or amendments by sponsor, click on that one. There is one new one here, and again, it's the floor votes on bills that I kind of already showed you on the House, but I'm going to hit it again because I think it's a really handy tool. So floor votes on bills. Again, you can choose your chamber or both chambers, choose your date range, put in a bill if you are specifically interested in one bill, and then you can see the votes for that particular bill. Let me see if this is going to work now. Aha, there we go. So as I mentioned, it shows you the count, 52 ayes, 40 nays, 8 absent or not voting. But if you click on the PDF, it actually lists who voted which way. So it's much easier than having to go into the journal to find that information. So I point that out again. Again, this link will be on the home page during session. Right now, during the interim, you can find it on the Find Legislation underneath Floor Votes on Bills. And then there's also a few more that I always point out. This passed by either chamber, by both chamber. It gives you, again, an option to choose a chamber one chamber or the other and a date range, and shows you all the bills that have passed in that date range. And then you have the enrolled bills here. The 2020 enrolled bills are posted. Shows you all of the bills that were signed into law in 2020. And then we have some additional ones if you want to see all the bills that were withdrawn, signed by the governor, item vetoed by the governor, etc. You just click on the appropriate link, and it pulls up all that information for you. So pretty straightforward. Senate and House journals, we already saw this on the Senate and House tab, just another way to get there if you want to look at journals. LSA information, this shows all of the publications that the Legislative Services Agency puts out both during and post-session. So clicking on any one of these, for example, would pull up that information for you, fiscal notes, summaries of legislation, etc. I prefer to look at it in Bill Book and see this information as it relates to a particular bill, but that's not to say you couldn't do it this way too. Same thing. And then even if you're not subscribed to our Twitter, you can see all of the tweets that LSA puts out right here on our publications page. And then you have the ability to select a category here, and it'll run a search of publications relating to that category. That was under LSA information. Debate eligibility calendar, again, the exact same thing we already saw twice on the Senate and House calendar, just shows you those calendars. Chamber rules, again, was already on the Senate and House tab, same thing, just another way to get there. And then proposed legislation tracking, this takes you to our subscriptions page. So just like clicking on subscribe down here at the bottom, it does the same thing and allows you to subscribe to various content via email. That's the legislation tab. Are there any questions on the legislation tab before we move on? Okay, I'm going to take a quick drink here. So feel free to type a question. Okay. I'll take your silence as though we're good, and we'll move on. Committees and schedules. Very straightforward. It gives you all the information about the various committees in the legislature. First one I'll point out, especially if you're new, and even if you're not, sometimes it's confusing, there's a committee room map over here along the left. You get a email notification that says the committee's meeting in room G15. Well, where the heck is that? There's this map that shows you by floor all of the committee meetings on each floor. So it starts at the ground floor on page 1, points out the first floor committee room meetings, the second floor, the third floor, etc. Now, of course, you can always turn and ask somebody, and people are really nice about showing you where something is, but if you wanted to find it yourself, there's that committee room map option here. And then this is very straightforward. You have a listing of all of the various committees here. You want to know more information about a particular committee, you simply click on that committee. It gives you all of the members here. Again, if there's a chair, the chair, vice chair, and ranking member are all bolded, and they denote those leadership positions next to them. Again, clicking on the legislator name will take you to their page on our website. Clicking on the district number will pull up a district map of the area they represent. If membership has changed, there will be a former membership section down here, and it'll show you how long that person served in the committee. And then down here, some additional information. If you're new this year, this member photos one is very handy. Gives you nice color photos of everyone in the committee, so you can kind of have some names to put with the faces that you see. And again, this all updates on January 11th, so right now it's still showing last year's data. Meetings, this will show all of the meetings for just this particular committee. So it'll show everything that's happened right, again, in this GA. So this will be blanked out once we start on January 11th, and it'll continue to build from that point on. We have our subcommittee assignments here. This shows all of the subcommittees. Again, nothing has been assigned at this point, so I'm going to leave that and not click anything there. Staff information, there's various LSA staff that staff each committee. So this gives you a listing of all the staff members for that committee and their contact information if you need to reach out to them. And then there's this former members, as I mentioned, if there were some members that were previously on this committee and they're not anymore, you can click that, and then it basically populates this section right here on the page. And then you have the legislation. So you can see all of the bills sponsored by this committee, any bills currently in the committee, meaning bills that they're debating in the committee or talking about in the committee, amendments sponsored by the committee, and then any study bills here. So you can click on those to view that content. So it's pretty straightforward. And you can do that again by clicking on any one of these committee names here to get more information on the particular committee. That's schedules. Schedules, this is exactly the same as the calendar section on the Senate and House tab. Again, just two different ways to get to this information, same information. Meetings will again show me the Senate and House standing and subcommittees on bills on a daily and two-week basis. Again, I'm not going to click this because nothing has been scheduled at this point, but once meetings start being scheduled, you'll be able to click on these to see those. And then council and interim committees, these of course happen during interim, so during session you're not going to be using these very much, but right now you can see them. Briefings on meetings, this just shows briefings on meetings during the regular session. So any information that was posted for those, you can click on to view that. Interim Study Committee final reports, this was the final report from 2020, you can click on that to view there. The one I did want to point out on the committee page is, in addition to all of the different committees, permanent statutory, interim study committees, etc., there is the public hearings right here. And again, when public hearings happen, of course, you're going to be notified, but if you want to see various comments from previous public hearings, this is where you can go to find that. It'll give you the date and time the public hearing happened, the location, the bill or subject they were talking about, the agenda, any notices that went out. This is where people can come in to sign up to speak during the public hearings. We generally put that on the home page so people have easy access to that. If you want to view the comments that people submitted for that particular topic or bill, if you want to view the sign-ups, and then we also usually video this as well. So if there's a video, we'll post that here, and you could launch the video using that play icon. So that's committees and schedules. Next one over, Iowa law and rules. Not going to spend a lot of time here because it's pretty self-explanatory. When you click on Iowa law and rules, it's going to give you a splash page, and it's going to give you just some information about what the Iowa Constitution section deals with, Iowa Code and Iowa Acts, administrative rules, court rules, etc. So just a little bit of information about each one of these. Clicking on any of these links is just like clicking on these links over here. It's going to narrow down your content to that particular type of Iowa law and or rule. Again, you have your Iowa Code and Iowa Acts quick searches just like you had on the home page, but you have some additional quick search options here as well. There's an administrative code quick search. So again, you can type in an administrative code section, pull that up, see the most current version in printer-friendly format. If you want to see your rulemaking documents, you can type in the ARC number and hit that search and pull that up in a printer-friendly format. You're welcome. So you can see all of that, again, just by clicking over here along the left. This will take you to the Iowa Code page. If you want to look at the Iowa Code, you just kind of have to jiggle the handle. It's a pain. Yeah, there you go. You got it. Okay. So you're on the Iowa Code page. You can click on Iowa Code, pull up the category, pull up the chapter or the rule that you want. Anytime you hit search the Iowa Code, search the administrative code, what have you, it's going to drop you into our legislative document research tool, which I will talk about here when we get to the publications tab a little bit more in depth. But this is all pretty straightforward. Here's all the information pertaining to the Iowa Code. Here's all the information pertaining to the Iowa Acts and past legislation. This is where you can find enrolled bills. In addition to the legislation tab, find legislation. Information about the Constitution. There was a constitutional amendment proposed last year, so that's fairly new. You can view the information on that here. Any related information to the code. Again, this is all pretty straightforward. If you want to see about the administrative rules, here's information on that. This information underneath the administrative rules is mostly for our rule writers that want to know how the process of rule drafting works. They're especially interested in the Administrative Rules Review Committee, which again is on the committee's page as well, just another place you can find the info. And then they have some instructions here on drafting rules and a system that they use to draft those. Court rules, pulls up the Iowa court rules. Chamber rules, we've seen that again and again throughout the website, just another location for that. Executive orders, this one is fairly new. This will show you all of the executive orders by the governors. By default, it is going to sort by all and show you everything from all the governors. If you want to narrow it down to a particular governor, you can choose that governor's name from the drop-down, and the page will update accordingly with that information. Where was I? Sorry, Iowa law and rules. Hyperlink legal downloads, that is for outside people. You guys already have this. Order legal publications, if people want to order a printed version of the law, they can do that here. Official and unofficial editions just talks about who are the official sources for some of the data. And then there's this new document authentication tool, which is still in the works, but basically would allow someone to authenticate a document that they have gotten from our website. So there's that. Are there any questions on committees and schedules or Iowa law and rules before we move on? Okay, I will take your silence as a no. Legislative agencies. This shows the two central nonpartisan agencies, the Legislative Services Agency, which contains all of these various divisions over here, Administrative Services, Proofreading Office, Computer Services, Fiscal Services, Legal Services, Publications Editing Office, and the Legislative Information Office, all part of LSA. If you want to see a staff listing for any of these departments, for example, I'm on the Computer Services Division staff, so if you want to see my contact information, right here, Emily Kramer. There's my job title, my phone number, my fax, and links to email. So you can use this for any Legislative Services Agency personnel by just choosing the department here and then getting the people's contact information. The Office of Ombudsman is sometimes referred to as the Citizens Aid Office, but they changed their name officially to the Office of Ombudsman. Clicking that link will take you to their webpage and show you information about what they do and the things that they're responsible for. Again, I'm just going to close some tabs up here at the top. Clicking on these two links is the exact same as clicking on these two links. Again, just two different ways to navigate to that content. Personal financial disclosures, if you click on that, we'll show you LSA personal financial disclosures. I'm going to make a note that that's not working. Okay. And then you have your links to both the Senate and the House. The Senate is going to take you to the Secretary of Senate's office page. There is slightly different content on the House and the Senate, and it's not that we favored one over the other or anything like that. It's just that they each told us their preferences on what they wanted to show on their page, so we did it exactly as they requested. So on the Secretary of Senate page, you have Charlie Smithson, his contact information, his email here, and then like on the contact page, it gives you basically the staff that's responsible for various things, and then gives you their phone numbers as well. So if you had questions about the Senate Journal, you can contact Angela Cox or Jennifer Bimino. Bimino, I think that's how you say that. Sorry about that. And then we also have these forms over here. So if there is a form that you need to fill out, the Secretary of the Senate will let you know of that. So this isn't something that you need to fill out unless they ask you to, but they're posted out here just for easy access. And then over here along the left, there's some additional quick links. These are just some of the questions that they get asked frequently about where to find this stuff on our website. So instead of having to give instructions every time, they can say, okay, just go to my page, and over there in the quick link, hit change the rules. So just post it out here for easy access. All of this is available elsewhere as well. And the Chief Clerk's office looks similar, but slightly different. Again, you have Megan Nelson, the Chief Clerk's contact info and her email, some various forms here. Again, if you need to fill those out, they will let you know of that. And then they phrase theirs more like questions. So if you need to register as a lobbyist, here's the people that you can contact. They post both a phone number and email, as opposed to the Senate that just wanted the phone numbers. And again, they have the same, pretty similar. I'm not sure if they're exactly the same, but they look at quick links over here. So again, if they get a question, they can say, go to this page on our website, and under the quick links, click lobbyist reports or what have you. The Senate Democrats, Senate Republicans, House Democrats, House Republicans. These pages are party affiliated. Again, anything party affiliated, we're going to link to off of our website because our website is completely nonpartisan. So anytime something is party affiliated or campaign related, we're going to link to it off our website as opposed to posting it on our website. So you'll get this message again saying you're leaving the state-supported website. We're not responsible for the content of the page you're about to visit. Click here to proceed. You click here, and then it's going to take me to, in this case, I clicked on Senate Democrats. It's going to take me to the Senate Democrat website. And if you have questions or concerns about these pages, you want to contact your caucus staff or the Senate Democrats in this case, who are the ones that operate this website. So it's going to do the same thing for Senate Democrats, Senate Republicans, House Democrats, House Republicans. Those are the caucus-affiliated websites. And then careers and RFPs, just like clicking careers down here at the bottom in the black, just another way to find all the job postings for LSA and the legislature in general. That's legislative agencies. The next one over is publications. This looks a lot like what we already saw on the legislation on LSA publications. Again, just shows all of the publications that LSA puts out both during session and post-session. You have your Twitter feed over here, and then down here you have the ability to browse by category. So this is going to drop us into our legislative document research tool. Anytime you search anywhere on our website, whether you're searching the code or searching a bill or using the keyword quick find on the home page, it's going to take you into our legislative document research tool, which is the main search engine on our website. So you can launch it by either clicking on a category here and very quickly narrowing down your results to just publications and reports, because that's where I was right here on the website, or you can click on the legislative document research link and launch the fresh page here. Again, it's going to pull up and allow you to browse by category. We do have instructional videos for this tool, several of them. I've broken them out into like 5-minute tutorials. So there's an overview, the main search, advanced search, topic search. All of these are just different videos that you can launch to view the content, but I'm going to give you a quick once over here. So a couple different ways that you can use this tool. One, very straightforward. You enter in a word or a phrase, you hit the search button, and it pulls up all of that information. Now, if you don't select any of the information in Search Within, if I don't check any of these boxes, by default, it is going to search everything. Now, by default, current only is checked, meaning I'm only going to see current legislation, current code, unless I uncheck that box. If I uncheck that box, obviously the number of results is going to increase exponentially, because now I'm seeing everything relating to fish that's ever happened. So I'm not going to uncheck that box. And then there's this exclude reserved that is also checked by default. If you're unfamiliar, there's sections of the code that are reserved, meaning they're just placeholders, and literally the content of the chapter says reserved. So in lieu of you pulling that up as a result and not getting any data from it at all, we just go ahead and check that to exclude those results. I can't really think of a reason why you would want to include those results, but if you wanted to, you could uncheck the box to do that. So you can either type in a keyword, hit go, it searches everything, or you can type in a keyword and you can select the box next to one of these. As you can see, now I've narrowed it down to just legislation. Now I have 135 results to go through. Again, it's hard to see on the screen, so I apologize, but just like in our Bills and Rules Watch application for categories, there's a tiny little arrow in front of each one of these boxes that you can check. So you can select the arrow and narrow down further your search. So maybe within legislation, I'm only interested in last year, the 88 GA second session. Maybe within that, I'm only interested in enrolled bills. And maybe within that, I'm only interested in enrolled bills in the House. As you can see, I can kind of drill down to the information, and now I only have 3 results to go through as opposed to 135, which is a big improvement. So whatever you have made your choices over here, the search results are going to appear in the main pane here. You can click on the bill link to be taken to the bill in our bill book application and show you all of the information. We go ahead and post the most recent version here. In this case, all the ones I pulled up are enrolled because that's what I selected here. If this were not just current, it does show all the General Assemblies, but I would see different numbers if they weren't all current. And then you have the ability to use this to pull up different versions of the content. So you can pull it up in a PDF. RTF, again, will drop the content of the bill into Word. HTML is a web-based version, and then clicking the bill link or choosing this one will pull up the bill in our bill book application. You'll notice that it highlights within each one of these the search term that you entered. It's also going to give you some additional tag topics, and it'll give you some related bill content here as well. The separate tabs is checked by default. And what that does, essentially, if I were to click one of these bills, it's going to open it up in a new tab, and I can say, oh, you know what, this isn't the one I'm looking for. The back button is grayed out, as you can see. So what you would do is simply close this tab and go back, and now I don't have to rerun my search. I'm not navigating away from my search criteria. I can just click on each one of these individually, open up a new tab, see if that's what I want. If not, I can collapse it and come back to my search results. You can change the sort order of your results. Usually it's best matched or most recent. If you want to change how those are sorted, you can select a different one from the default or from the drop down here. There's a results page. By default, it shows you 10 results. If you want to increase that to 25 or 50 per page, you can do that here. And then lastly, again, this one comes in super handy, this generate link. A constituent contacts you and says, I want to know all of the enrolled bills that have to deal with fish from the House from last year. I've just pulled up those search results. So rather than giving them instructions saying, go into legislative document research, type in fish, and then click the box next to legislation, and narrow it down to house. What you can do is just say, generate link. You can copy and paste this into an email and say, here you go. They're going to click the link, and it's going to go right to these search results. So that can be really, really handy. Or even, you know, whoever. It could be another legislator that's like, I don't really know how to use this tool. You can run the search, send them the link. They automatically pull up the same search results as you without having to do everything over. If you continue to scroll down here, as you can see, we have quite a few General Assemblies to go through. There's also this defined by topic. So it's going to show me all of the different topics that were tagged with this legislation. If I want to click on one of these topics, the search results will adjust accordingly. So in this case, I chose that topic in addition to the enrolled. So now I have one bill left. This is the bill that I'm looking for. And as you can see up here, it shows the search criteria. So the keyword was fish, and then I also clicked on the topic of animals, and now it pulled up this bill for me. So when you're done, you just clear your search results, and then you can start a new search. Main search page, that's how that works. The advanced search gives you some additional options. If you're familiar with using like the ampersand and asterisks and things like that, you can absolutely type those wildcard characters in here. The advanced search kind of does that for you. So there's some additional ones containing all these words, none of these words, exact phrase, words near each other, containing words, how many characters between the two words. You can get really specific. I do point out that exact phrase isn't technically exact phrase. It operates on a process called stemming. So if I type in a word like fish, I'm not only going to get results with fish, I'm going to get fishing, fisherman, anything that contains that root word is going to pull up as a result. So you don't have to worry about getting the verb tense right or singular or plural. Just type in the root word and it'll find all of the results for you. On this page, again, you'll see some quick finds over here, just like you saw on the Iowa Law and Rules page. There's the code search, act search, administrative code search. There's the ability to search here by topic. So just like in Bills and Rules Watch, this is the same list of topics, but allows you to search. So if I were interested in, I don't know, absentee voting, I could click on that, run my search, and it would pull up everything relating to absentee voting. Now again, I didn't tell it where to search, so by default, it searches everything. If I wanted to narrow it down to, say, legislation, I would enter my topic, check the box next to legislation, or, you know, if I wanted to narrow it down to a particular GA, check the box next to that one, hit search, and now I've narrowed down my search results to just that General Assembly. So that's your topic. And then you have some additional search criteria over here that you can use. You can click on, and enter an Iowa code section. See any code sections that are affected by bills. You can type in a sponsor. This is usually a legislator. Again, this says only for bills and amendments. Type in a legislator name, choose your search criteria, and pull up that information. Author, this is generally for publications. You guys probably won't know that. It's mostly for staff. You can search by department if you have an executive branch department you want to search for, and then budget unit. Unless you're in fiscal, budget units don't mean anything to you. So this is mostly a search that we put out there for fiscal staff. And then there's some additional options here. Current only is not checked by default if you use the advanced search. So you would have to check that one and check the exclude reserved. And then there's also the option here to include all resolutions and all amendments in addition to just bills. So you set however you want to search, you hit search, and it pulls up all of your results here in the main pane. Topic, this is exactly like using the topic in advanced search, just another way of doing it. Here, if I click on absentee voting, it doesn't take me back to the main search page. It just displays the results on the topic page for me. So if you're interested in topics, this is how you can do that. It will, again, show you everything relating to this topic. So here's the legislation section up here at the top. As I scroll, there's a code section relating to that. There's administrative rulemaking documents relating to that. There's publications relating to that. As you can see, it only shows the first three. If I wanted to see all of the legislation, I would simply click this 22 document link, and now I see all the legislation relating to that. So just another way to search. Search tools, I only point this out because this has the documentation here. So again, written instructions on using the tool, everything I've just shown you. There's a keyword versus topic search, talks about the difference. You guys don't really need to mess with that. Query syntax, again, shows you how to use different search criteria. The advanced search kind of takes care of that for you. And then there's this document type available. We get questions a lot about different formats that are available for the different code sections or publications or what have you. So this just shows you the different formats that all of the data is available in. And then we have the disclaimer up here just for legal reasons. So, whether you know it or not, anytime you hit search on our website, it is going to drop you into our legislative document research tool. Definitely another good tool to get used to using so you can find content. The great thing about the legislative document research tool, as opposed to the quick finds, as I showed you, you can also access previous content as opposed to just current legislation or current code. This is how you can go in and access archived content as well. Legal topic publications, these are just legal topic publications that they post. You can click on any one of those for information on those. Legislative guides. Fiscal posts a lot of different reports and distributes them to members. This is where you can find all of those. There's an interactive budget analysis over here. There's all of these various reports that they put out. Some of these are available in video format as well. Clicking on any one of these will pull up that information. Other resources, again, just stuff that didn't really fit neatly into any of these categories, so we posted an other resources section for some of the outliers here. Again, you've seen all of these elsewhere as well, just another place you can find it. Subscriptions, just like clicking on subscribe, again, is going to allow you to subscribe to various content via email. Audio, video presentations. Again, this is all visible throughout the website, but this is where we just post all of the audio and video presentations in one place. So as opposed to you having to search for it, here's all the Senate and House videos, all the Senate and House audio, videos about redistricting, videos about publications, legislative agency, any piece of video content or audio content we post out here just for easy access. There's lots of different ways to tour the Capitol with video and audio tours as well, which are more and more handy now that COVID has happened and people can't always attend in person. Boards and commissions, not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is mostly for executive branch agencies, and the same goes for the departments and agencies. If you want more information about them, of course, you can click on the department name and get more information. And then if you want to see the code citation relating to that department, you can click on those there. And then Attorney General opinions. That one is fairly new as well. It's loading. So this shows all the Attorney General's opinions. By default, it's going to show you all. You have the ability to change that to published or unpublished, and then you can look these up. I'm not quite sure why they stop at 2012. I think we might have changed how we store the data, but right now this is all we have. We're always backfilling information on the website as time allows. So more and more will be coming soon, I'm sure. Any questions on publications and legislative agencies before we move on? No. Okay, moving on. The next one is Capitol tours and resources. Again, just like on the context page, we have the Capitol mailing address posted right there for ease of access. All the information on touring the Capitol is posted on this page here. Capitol tour and building information. There is a tour request here that they can come in, and now we have the option to not only schedule an in-person tour of the Capitol, but also a virtual tour of the Capitol. So this is where you can direct constituents if they ask you questions about that. Depending on their preference, they can come in here, enter their information, and then be approved and get a date and time for the tour to happen either in person or online. The great thing about this is it does interact with your legislator, meaning if a group from your legislator's district is coming to the Capitol and they have an approved tour, it will shoot your legislator an email with a calendar icon that will allow you to add that to the calendar, and if your legislator wants to talk to that group from their district, they can. Again, I don't know with COVID how that's going to work with guests on the chamber floor, but that's how it used to work. They could say, okay, I'm going to approve this, and then the legislator would meet with that school on the chamber floor and talk to them. So how that's going to work this year, I'm not quite sure, but that is how it's supposed to work. And then we have, again, all of these different audio and video options for touring the Capitol. There's like a virtual tour that you can do yourself, where you can click on arrows and it gives you information about the different parts of the Capitol. There's one you can download to your cell phone and go around the Capitol outside monuments and the Capitol interior. Legislative committee room maps, just like on the committees and schedules tab is there. There's a bus parking map. Capitol complex parking information. They're going to go over all the parking stuff with you guys at orientation as well. So this isn't really for you, it's mostly for visitors to the Capitol. And then there's driving instructions linked to the Des Moines website so they can see other things they can do while they're in town. Educational publications, these are basically just little reports on different things that deal with the legislature. So for example, there's a report on how a bill becomes a law, the appropriations process, the different 3 branches of government, et cetera. So if there's a video associated with that, we'll also post that here as well, or you can click on the document to see more information about that. And there's quite a few of these. There's educational games at the bottom. Don't get too excited. They're just like little word searches or tour quizzes, basically what teachers hand out when kids tour the Capitol to keep them busy for a little bit. But they're all posted here. And then there's the Capitol gift shop as well. This lists all of the products available in the Capitol gift shop, as well as prices associated with them. They are working on updating this currently, so I don't know how accurate it is. It's pretty accurate, but there might be some products that are no longer available and things like that. So you always want to, you can reach out to the Legislative Information Office if you have questions. That's your Capitol tours and resources. The next one over is lobbyist information. Really, when you guys are looking for lobbyists, you're looking for lobbyist declarations that deal with a particular bill. And I already showed you how to get there in bills or in Bill Book. However, this is another place where you can look for that information. So at the top of each one of these pages is contact information for the lobbyist clerks and their contact info. This is generally who the lobbyist will be reaching out to if they have questions. There's the ability here to search lobbyist declarations. Now, one thing I like about this one as opposed to the one in Bill Book is that it does allow you to search for all lobbyist declarations for a particular lobbyist, all declarations for a particular client, or to search for multiple bills at one time. So, for example, if I wanted to see all of the lobbyist declarations on Senate File 510, I would enter that in. I would say add, and then I wanted to see all of the amendment or all of the declarations for House File 2021. I would add that. You can add as many as you like. You say submit, and then it just pulls out the declarations for those two bills or however many bills you had added here. If you are signed in or on the Capitol Complex, you will see an email address when you click on the lobbyist name, and you'll generally see a photo as well. Those are only available internally. That's by design. A lot of the lobbyists don't want to share their cell phone information. They don't want to share their emails, but we are pressing them to put in pictures so that you guys can have a face to go with the name. If a lobbyist, writes a note to your legislator, that they can go into the website and say, okay, this is who I'm looking for in the rotunda. So that's the one good thing about using the declaration on the lobbyist tab here as opposed to using it in Bill Book. Again, if you're only interested in declarations as it pertains to a piece of legislation, Bill Book's probably going to be easier for you. We just opened up lobbyist registration on December 1. So lobbyists are continuing to register. This will update in real time. So if like 3 lobbyists register today and they're approved, you'll see 3 more lobbyists added to this list by the end of day. So this allows you to search the database for a particular lobbyist or particular client. If you want to pull or you want to type in a lobbyist name here, that will allow you to pull that out. So just pretty straightforward. You could do the same thing with clients. They do file client reports. These are basically financial information that clients have to fill out each year. So you can see those filed reports if you click here and select the client. Function reports, anytime they have a function at the Capitol, they have to fill out a report both prior to and after the event happens and list their expenditures. So this would show you that. They do all of that in the lobbyist application. And then there's the government lobbyist authorizations required by the House, just various legal information pertaining to lobbying in Iowa. Lobbyist legal information, again, most of this is already accessible for you guys elsewhere. Chamber rules, we've seen 100 times already. Code of ethics, this is pertaining to lobbyists. Legal background briefings. There were some changes to lobbyist law in 2008, so this just lists all of the changes that happened at that point. If you're interested in lobbying law, this is the place to come. And lastly, the lobbyist online filing. This is for lobbyists. So this is where lobbyists come, sign into the lobbyist system, they declare on bills, they create those client reports and function reports, and that's where all the information feeds from on our website. So unless you're a lobbyist, you're never going to go to this because you have to have a sign-in and actually be a registered lobbyist to use the application. So this is for them. You'll never go there, but just wanted to show you that's where they go. Lastly, there is the archives. I've already shown you throughout the website how you can use the GA or year picker drop-down to navigate to previous content. So that's usually the way that I go, or I use the legislative document research tool, uncheck that current, and then I can see previous content. We did have a previous version of the website where the archive section looked more like this, and a lot of staff got used to using it this way, so we maintained it for the new version of the website. And it's very straightforward. You want to see information about the Senate and House from previous years, For example, you want to see bill archives, you can, again, choose the little drop-down up here at the top, navigate back however far you wish, and then the page content will update accordingly. So you just choose whatever information you want, and again, this is not going to be the current information. It will be when you click on it initially, but again, you'd use that drop-down to navigate to previous content, and then the page contents would update accordingly for you. Whew. So that's it. Everything I've just shown you is accessible to everyone in the public. What I'm about to show you on the intranet is, again, internal staff only. And again, it's not that we're hiding anything, it's just there are some things out there that aren't official. So we leave them posted for internal staff, but we don't post them for the public until they are approved. For example, committee draft minutes, which we'll talk about here in a second. So when you're on the Capitol Complex, you'll see this intranet link. When you're not on the Capitol Complex, you have to go through our Citrix application. But right now, I'm just going to click on it. And this is just some internal data that you can access when you're here at the Capitol. There's a document compare tool, allows you to upload 2 different versions of the same document and see the changes. There's documentation on how to use that tool. It's not really all that used. I do point out the phone book. That one can be quite handy, especially if you're newer. There is the ability to search for legislators, staff, and non-legislative state employees by just entering one search criteria. So, for example, let's say I'm the only person you know and you want to know how to contact me. My last name is Kramer. I am part of staff. I could leave it as legislators and staff, but I'm just going to go ahead and say staff. You hit the search button. It pulls up their contact information. Clicking on my name will pull up my color photo, and then it gives you my email address and my phone number. If this is someone within the executive or judicial branches, you can use this non-legislative state employees option and enter the first name, last name, or phone number to come up with that. And then there are some other electronic phone books that we post out here. So the government departmental listing phone book, the 3 major university phone books, U of I, UNI, and ISU, Senate office and phone, House Centrex, LSA staff and committee staffing. Again, just an electronic phone book so you can get that information. There are, whoops, I went back to the public homepage. As you can see, there are some links over here along the left. This one will take you to the public-facing website. This one takes you to the intranet homepage, which is what we're on right now. CSD staff, this again shows all of the computer services division staff. And then chamber support. I already touched on this briefly at the beginning of class, but basically lists the contact information for the people that staff the Senate and House as support staff people. And just talks about that we're there from the time you guys gavel in to the time you guys gavel out. Again, this year our location has changed. We usually sit in the back of the chamber, but this year we're going to be out in the rotunda, in the copy room between the 2 chambers, and somebody will be able to direct you to us as well. And then also the help desk phone number and email address are listed here as well. Go back to the intranet homepage. Access my listserv. Very few people use listserv anymore. There are, I don't believe, any senators that use it anymore. There are some House members that still use it. If that is something your legislator uses, come find myself or my colleague at the copy room, and I can show you how to sign into that manager listserv for your newsletter. It's something that they use to send out the newsletter each week. Legislative document research, again, we already covered that. That's the search engine. It's just linked out here, so you don't have to go back to our public-facing website to get to that tool. Just linked out here for easy access. Search the database for lobbyist or client. Again, just like on the lobbyist tab that I showed you on the public-facing website, just out here for easier access again. And again, internally, you'll see that email address, cell phone number, and picture. If they've uploaded one externally, you will not. And the computer will know based on your IP address and how you're logging in if you're behind our firewall or not. Amendment list. Unfortunately, I can't show you this now because we're working on it, but what the amendment list essentially does, and I'm just closing out some of these tabs up here at the top. What the amendment list essentially does is shows you the order that the amendments will be debated in. So as we get toward the end of session, there's a lot of amendments. Sometimes one bill can have 100 amendments, and it becomes very tedious to go through and kind of see which amendments we've done and which we haven't, because they don't get debated in numerical order. They get debated based on where they're changing the bill. So, for example, if Amendment 10 is changing page 1 of the bill and Amendment 1 is changing page 10 of the bill, you're going to debate 10 before you debate 1. So what you can do here is sign in, enter in a bill number, and it'll give you the order that the amendments will be debated in. Now, it's not 100% perfect because sometimes there's 2 or 3 amendments that are amending the same page and line. but it does do a pretty good job of giving you an idea of where a bill will be, or when an amendment will be debated. The other good thing about it is, towards the end of the session, amendments can be filed on the fly, and so if you hit refresh on that page, it'll go ahead and put newly filed amendments right in the order that they need to go in when you refresh the page, so that's also handy. Electronic bill request. This is another sign into our BMS application, which we're going to talk about here very quickly in a second. The bill request form, some legislators still elect to fill it out by hand and turn it into a drafter, so this form is available to do that. You can do the same thing with the additional sponsors form and the amendment request form. These are print-offs that you fill out and then turn into the Legal Services Division or the drafter. Lsb suffix codes, unless you're a drafter, those mean nothing to you, so don't worry about clicking on that one. There are some House forms out here, no Senate forms. Again, it was just the preference of the House that they wanted some forms out here, and it was the preference of the Senate to not put any out here. So that's the only reason the House is here and not the Senate. And again, if you need to fill out any of these forms, Chamber staff will let you know that you need to, and they'll let you know where to go. All of these forms usually also have, at the bottom or top, instructions on what to do with the form once it's filled out. And then there's Legislative Information Office. This is the office that runs the gift shop and also where the tour guides work. So there's an extended Capitol Dome tour. It used to be that employees could go up in the dome, the general public cannot, so there's information for scheduling one of those tours. However, with COVID, again, I don't know how things are going to work this year. So yeah, that's kind of up in the air. I'm not sure. Maybe they've already made a decision, but I wasn't privy to it if they have. Committee staffing assignments, again, another place where you can choose a committee and see the people who are staffing that committee and get their contact information. And then we have our seating charts in both the Senate and the House. Now, obviously, we haven't chosen our seats yet. They do that the first day of session, so generally these will be updated on the second day or third day for sure, generally the second day of session. After they pick their seats and these are updated, then you will see that these seating charts will update accordingly. So there's a million different options here, front view, back view. You can have one with the secretary names as well as the senator names, ones with photos, ones with just the names. Again, up to your preference, click on whichever one you want, and it will pull that up. And again, this is still last year because seats have not been chosen at this point, so we can't list them because we don't know where they're sitting yet. Whoops, sorry, went too far. Back on the intranet. Up here we have some committee information. This is, again, miscellaneous information on committees. We are working on making the committee votes more transparent now, but previously that they kind of kept those under wraps, so you could access the information here. Committee secretary forms. This is, again, where clerks that are clerking for a chair, a vice chair, or a ranking member will log in to our committee secretary forms application and create meeting notices and record votes and enter agendas and minutes, etc. And if you need to be at that training, Chamber staff will make sure that you are there. But I'm not going to go over it because it only pertains to certain clerks. Subscribe to draft minutes, committee mailing list. Again, this is only open to internal staff because these aren't official. The draft minutes always happen at the end of a committee meeting. They're always entered into the system, and then the draft minutes are published. The draft minutes are distributed to internal staff only because they're not approved until the following committee meeting. First order of business at the next committee meeting will be approving the draft minutes from the previous committee meeting. So because they're not quote-unquote official, we don't post them on the public-facing website until they are approved at the following committee meeting. So they're always going to be one behind. Here, this will allow you to subscribe to those draft minutes that are published after the original committee meeting and maybe before the next committee meeting. And again, you're already going to get those for committees that your legislator is a member of. This is if you want to subscribe to a committee that your legislator is not on and want to get those draft minutes. This would allow you to do that. And then we just have some frequently asked questions, the governor's appointments that we get, some information here. The library gets some frequently asked questions. They wanted us to post some links out here. Personnel information, this really only pertains to year-round staff and LSA staff, so not really for you guys too much. But I do want to point out the computer services information. The chamber information, that's the same as clicking chamber support. Again, just gives you the contact information, talks about where we're located. But the one I really wanted to hit on is this computer documentation one. Any piece of documentation that I create for internal applications, for Microsoft applications, for anything, I post out here for easy access. So if you didn't get to attend a training, or you're interested in, say, adding the social calendar to Outlook, what have you, all of the instructions are posted out here, and you can access them at any point. Just click the one that you want and print it off. So generally, I will usually hand these out at the trainings, and I will, as I mentioned, email you guys the ones I usually hand out today at this training after class, but you can always access them on the intranet underneath computer documentation at any time. Computer training schedule, you guys obviously got this because you're here. If I schedule additional trainings, I will not only email you, I will post it out there. I'm not very hopeful I'll be able to do a lot of training during session, just for the simple fact that we're not doing a lot of meetings this year, and we're trying to limit those. So if that happens, though, I will make sure that everyone knows. I will send out an email, and I will update the training schedule. And then the user account, that's for LSA staff. Lastly, there is this capital complex, and there's nothing really here that you guys need to know. Again, parking map, parking rules, I go over with you at orientation. But it does remind me to tell you about the tunnel. For those of you that don't know, there is an underground tunnel that connects all of the buildings within the Capitol complex. So like Lucas, Miller, Capitol, all of the different buildings in the Capitol complex are connected via this underground tunnel. Now, it's not very pretty down there. It's kind of gross. It floods sometimes. It kind of smells, but it does beat walking outside. So if you find yourself having to park like at the Lucas building or something, any of these buildings in the Capitol complex, if you hit the basement button in the elevator, will take you down to the tunnel level. Make sure that if you go down to the basement that you have your badge with you. You won't be able to enter the Capitol unless you go through security without your badge. If you have your badge, you can scan your badge and you can walk right through without having to go through security. So that's the only reason I mention it. If you have to park some ways away, it definitely beats walking in the snow and rain. And that's usually the way I take to the Capitol every day, so I've kind of gotten used to it. I don't mind the tunnel so much. But there's a map there. Do you need to take the map with you? Absolutely not. When you go into the tunnel, there's arrows saying this way to Miller, this way to the Capitol. So you'll see all of that. It's not really a big deal for you to, I just say it so that you remember to bring your badge if needed. And that's the intranet. Are there any questions before we move on to the bill management system? Take a drink. Feel free to think about it. All right. Guess not. Moving on. Bill management system. Now, depending on your legislator, this may be something that you do as a clerk, or it may not be. Every legislator is different, and that pretty much goes for everything. They all have different duties they want their clerks to do. They all have things that they do that other legislators don't, etc. So I've created this little PowerPoint here that'll walk you through how to use the bill management system. I don't actually want to request a bill, and I don't want to do the test system either because I know they're working on that. So, bill management system. How do we access the bill management system? Again, this is where we're going to request bill drafts, and this is also where we can approve or reject bill drafts after they've been drafted. So, there's the URL, or you can do as I've taught you already and go to the applications link down at the bottom of the website. Again, our homepage, legis.iowa.gov, click on the applications link, sign in with your legislator's username and password, and click the login button. This will not only give you access to BMS, it'll also give you access to all of the internal applications like committee forums if you're a member of committee forums, ranking member, vice chair, or chair. Over along the left, once you sign in, you will see, and this is annoying me, sorry, I don't know why that's still there. Hey, go away. There we go. Okay, so after you sign in, there's going to be a link over along the left that says Bill Management System. You click on the link, and by the link, I mean you click on the name. That will launch the Bill Management System. Clicking on the PDF icon right in front of the Bill Management System will give you written instructions on using the Bill Management System. So again, anytime you see a PDF icon, that generally denotes written instructions for using that tool. And then once you're signed in, you can log out of the system by clicking your username at the top of the screen, or there's a log out link over along the left. That really only becomes an issue if you're using a public computer. If you're using a legislative computer, you can stay logged in. It's not an issue. It will time you out after so many hours, but you can stay signed in, and it really won't hurt anything. It might help you, actually. So if you don't log out, as I said, you're going to remain signed in to BMS. Once you click the bill management system, what is going to happen is it's going to display the current GA up here. Right now, we have already toggled it over to the 89th General Assembly, so you can begin requesting bills at any time as a legislator. So what you'll see, you will see a committee drop-down if your legislator is the chair of a committee. You won't see that if they are not the chair of a committee. So it gives you two options. If your legislator is the chair of a committee, they can request a bill draft on behalf of the committee, or they can request a bill draft on behalf of themselves. And if that's the case, you'll have a drop-down where you make that distinction. Most legislators, when they sign in, it just knows that you're requesting it on your own behalf, and you don't have to choose anything from a drop-down. So you'll hit the little button in the left-hand corner that says New Bill Request. And then it's going to pop up this page and ask you to enter in some information. The first thing, and you'll see up here as the requester, if you've requested on behalf of the committee, it will fill in the committee name. Otherwise, it will fill in your legislator's name as the requester. So that's one way you can check to make sure that you chose the correct requester/sponsor. The working title. This is not necessarily what the bill ends up being called, but this is just so you can identify the bill draft going forward. So if this is your anti-smoking bill or whatever, you can name it that. And the only place it's going to go is if you don't make it confidential, the only place it's going to go is on that bill request logs page that I showed you on the website. So make it something professional. And just something so that you can identify the bill draft going forward. So you enter that in. All of the required fields are denoted with this little red asterisk. If you try to submit a bill request before filling in that information, it will kind of bark at you and pop up and say you forgot to enter this information. So it's not going to let you submit a bill draft until all the required information has been entered. So you enter your working title. The next thing it's going to ask is if this is confidential or non-confidential. We already talked about this a little bit. If you mark it as non-confidential, it is available to the public. Again, we are never, ever, ever going to post a bill draft that has not been approved by your legislator. The only thing they're going to see is what was on that bill request log page. When we got the request for the bill draft, there was an LSB or bill number assigned. We'll link those, the working title of the bill, and the category that it was assigned to. And that is all. But some legislators like to keep things close to the chest. They don't want anyone to know what they're working on. So if you don't want it to appear on the bill request logs page, you'd simply hit the radio button in front of confidential. Up to you, however you want to do this. Confidential or non-confidential, but you do need to choose one. The next section is your staff access. I'll show you here. There is a place over along the left that you hit Delegate Authority. This is where legislators can grant authority for caucus staff. If you're in the majority, the floor leader, administrative assistant, or the presiding officer, administrative assistant, sorry. This is a blanket delegation. What I mean by that is that you can't say, I want Kelly and the caucus staff to be able to access my stuff, but not Brian. It's Kelly and Brian, or it's neither. So when you check the box, that gives them the right to request bills on your behalf and also to approve or reject bill drafts on your behalf. Up to your legislator how they want to handle that. Some grant everyone rights, and it's not a problem. Some like to do it themselves, and they don't give anybody access. Again, completely up to the legislator, completely up to you. You can change this at any point by hitting that delegate authority and unchecking the boxes or checking the boxes for the person or persons that you want to have access. And then you'll hit that little save link, the save button at the end of the column, end of the row, and that saves your delegation. You can change that again at any time. And on this page, what it does is show you basically what you've already entered in the delegate authority page. So in this case, caucus staff, floor leader AAs, and presiding officer AAs all have access. If you wanted to change that, you'd hit the delegate authority and make your changes. But regardless of who you've delegated access to, there is the ability to allow or deny access to one particular bill request. We call it locking the bill draft. So if you don't care if the caucus staff and the floor leader AAs and the presiding officer AAs can see this bill draft, leave it at allow. That's the default selection. But if you, for this one request, want to be the only one to touch it, you hit the deny button. And now, even though all of them have delegated rights for your behalf for this one bill draft, they can't act on your behalf. So they can't see it, they can't request it, they can't approve it. And that's what that's for. So if you want to deny access, you choose the deny button. If you want to allow it, it's chosen by default. You would just leave that selected. We talked about that already. The next section is going to ask you to choose a draft type. By default, bill is selected. There are some additional options in the drop-down: concurrent resolution, conference committee report, joint resolution, simple resolution, or study bill. You'll choose the correct type from the drop-down. There is a date restriction, so there are deadlines throughout session where bills can no longer be requested. So once the deadline for that type of draft has passed, you will not be able to select that from the drop-down. That is by design. If you had questions or concerns about that, you'd want to reach out to the Legal Services Division. Or you could talk to chamber staff or me, and we can direct you to the right person. But it won't be available in the drop-down after the deadline for that submission type has passed. The next two allow you to draft a bill as a companion to. We talked about the relationship between similars and companions. If this is a companion to another piece of legislation, you would enter that bill number in this field. If not, as you can see, it's optional, so you would just leave that field blank. And then you can choose co-sponsors. You're only going to see co-sponsors from your own chamber. So if you're signed as a senator, you're going to see all the senators. If you're signed in as a representative, you're going to see all the representatives. So you're not going to be able to choose a co-sponsor from another chamber. Again, that's by design. You want to select multiples, you hold down your control key and select as many as you like, and add those as your co-sponsors. If you want nobody to be a co-sponsor, simply don't choose anyone from the drop-down. And then drafting instructions. This is where you can basically explain what you want this bill draft to do. So I want this bill draft to make such and such illegal, or whatever. Basically gives the drafter an idea of what you want this bill draft to accomplish. There is a section further down on the page where you can upload a document. So if your legislator or yourself already has a document in Word or Excel that talks about what they want this bill to do, the drafting instruction could be as simple as see uploaded file. Now, as you can see, this is a required field, so you have to put something in the drafting instructions field before it will allow you to submit. So put in whatever you like. It's a required field. Just make sure you fill something in. And then the draft completion needs. This is optional. Basically, where you can put in any special needs relating to this bill. Sometimes people will put in when they'd like to see a bill draft. It's not binding by any chance or by any means. Drafters, as it says right here, drafters strive to complete quality drafts in a timely manner according to the needs of all members in the Senate and House. Sometimes that'll help them prioritize if you put in like this is needed for something, but they do kind of go on a first come, first served basis otherwise. So if there's special need relating to this draft, type that in there. If not, leave that field blank. It is optional. And then you have these two additional fields where you can put names of people who have access to the work in progress. So if the drafter reaches out to your legislator and can't get a hold of them for whatever reason, you could put in some other names of a person that they could contact with regards to the draft. So if you as the clerk are going to be the one answering those questions, you would put in the clerk name. Or if this is a caucus staff person, you could put in their name. As you can see, these are optional fields, so if you don't want anyone else to be contacted besides the legislator, you would just leave those fields blank. And then further down the page, as I talked about, there is this Choose File button. So what you would do is you would click on Choose File. It's going to open up your My Computer. You'll navigate to the file that you want to upload, hit the Open button, and then it will upload that file here. As you can see, if you upload the file and you realize later on that it is the wrong file, you can hit the trash can icon to delete that file. You'll also see that once you upload one file, it'll put in the file name, and it'll give you an additional Browse or Choose File button here. Sometimes, depending on your browser, it says Browse or Choose File. It's the same thing. So you can upload multiple documents to the bill request. You can upload any type of formatted document. So it can be a PDF, it can be Word, it can be Excel, it doesn't matter. Any type of document can be uploaded here, as many as you want. Just be aware that once you submit the request, you'll no longer be able to upload files through this system. You'll have to give those to the drafter personally. So just make sure that you've uploaded everything that you want to upload before you submit this for drafting, which is our last step. At the very bottom, what you will see is 3 choices. There is a checkbox here. This checkbox is basically like your electronic signature. Check this box and click Submit Request to submit your bill request to Legal Services for drafting. And then it just talks about what I already said. If you wish to transmit additional information, please contact the assigned drafter by email, telephone, or in person. So you wouldn't be able to update the bill draft in the system once you've already requested it. So if you're ready to submit this for drafting, you check the box, and then you hit Submit Request. And at that point, the bill draft has been submitted, and that's the status that you'll see on the main page. You can hit the View button to view the information that you entered for that bill draft. Maybe you're not quite through with it yet. Maybe you've entered all the information, and your legislator says, hey, before we submit this for drafting, I'd like somebody to look over it, or what have you. What you can do is leave this box unchecked, hit the Save Unfinished request, and then it will save a draft in the system. You won't have to go back in and re-enter everything. You can pick up kind of where you left off, and then when you're ready, check the box and submit it for drafting. So it allows you to basically create a draft in the system and not have to go and create it from scratch. Clicking cancel undoes everything you've done. It doesn't save anything, and you're basically starting over. There is the option, if your legislator has been here in a previous GA, to resubmit an old request. If this is your legislator's first year, obviously this isn't an option for you. But just like elsewhere on our website, if you want to resubmit a request that they previously requested from a previous session, you hit that little arrow there, choose the previous session. It's going to show you all of the approved bill drafts from that General Assembly or year that you've chosen. So it'll look something like this. You'll have the working title, the submitted, and then when you hit view, what will happen is it will pull up all the information that was previously entered for that bill draft. So again, instead of having to go in and create this from scratch, you can kind of take what was already entered and submit it again for this year. Maybe it didn't go anywhere the year that you originally requested it, and it's something that you're still interested in, you'd like to pursue this year, you can resubmit it this way. So what it does, again, shows you all the information that was previously entered, but allows you to make changes before resubmission. So there's this option up here, and I'm sorry, it's hard to see, but it says resubmit as new request. You would click that button, you would make whatever changes that you want to this bill draft, and then when you hit submit, it would submit it for the current session. It's still going to be historically accurate, so this draft will still be in its original location from whatever year you grabbed it from, but it'll also then go forward and be resubmitted for the current session. Again, this only works if your legislator has been here previously. If not, they can't resubmit something that they never submitted in the first place. And then lastly, once you've submitted your bill draft, you're essentially done. What will happen when the bill draft is ready for approval or rejection is that your legislator will get an email. In that email will contain a link. It'll say, click here to approve your bill draft. You'll click that link, and if you're already signed in, it'll just take you to BMS. If not, you'll just sign in and then go to BMS. And this is what it'll look like when it's ready for approval or rejection. It'll be in this request requiring attention table, and there'll be an approve or reject link next to that particular bill draft. You will click the approve or reject. It will open up this page where it shows you some additional information. So the Lsb number has been assigned. It'll post that in there. It'll post your working title, and then it'll show you all of the drafter information. So as I said right here, once the request enters the drafting stage, the drafter info is added to the request. This is the person that you would want to contact if you had questions or problems relating to the bill draft. So you have their name, their email address, their phone number, and there's a little link there where you can click their photo if you want to see their face. But what you're going to want to do is click the View Bill Draft link. This will pull up the full text of the bill draft so you can approve it or reject it, basically go through the document and see that it does what you want it to do. Now, right now, the Submit button is grayed out, and that's because we haven't made a choice. You need to choose whether you want to approve or reject the bill draft before you can submit your answer. So if the bill draft looks good, you want it to go forward, you just check the box next to Approve Bill Draft. The Submit button becomes clickable. You click Submit. You're done. You've approved the bill draft. It's ready to go. If you reject the bill draft, they just ask you to choose a reason. The first is that you're withdrawing it. You no longer want the bill draft. You check the box in front of that, hit Submit. It's withdrawn. If you need to add additional sponsors, you check the box there, hit Submit. Again, you would send your drafter an email with the additional sponsor information. And then lastly, if the bill draft doesn't do quite what you want it to do or you need to make a change to something, you'll choose that last option here. Check the box in front of changes will be sent by email or hand-delivered to the drafter. The Submit button will light up. You click the Submit button, and it sends that information to your drafter. So that's all there is to it. Once you've approved or rejected it, you're done with that bill. It will remain, of course, in your account, but the action that you took is all that's needed. And that's it. So it's pretty straightforward. We do try to make it pretty sequential in the process. Basically, like I said, once you submit the bill draft, you just have to wait around until it's ready for approval or rejection. Then you go into the system, you make your choice, and that's all she wrote. Are there any questions on BMS? No. Okay, you're a quiet group. Hopefully this was a very useful class. I don't mean to waste your time, so hopefully you got something out of the training. As I mentioned before, do I expect you to leave this class and know everything on the website? Absolutely not. I train the website, and I am surprised on a frequent basis with the changes that we implement. So I just want you to know that all this information is available. If you need help, you can reach out to our help desk. You can reach out to me in the copy center in the rotunda of the Capitol on the second floor. I'll generally be accompanied by either Austin or Gary. I'm not sure who. But again, we're there from the time you gavel in till the time you gavel out. So if you have a question, don't hesitate to come find us. We haven't lost any clerks or legislators yet. You'll be just fine. I know it's a lot of information we're throwing at you right away, but it'll all be second nature before you know it, I promise. I have recorded this training, so again, once I finish all the recordings and editing, I will upload these, and so you will be able to watch this at a later time if you wish. But that's all I have for you. As I mentioned, I will send you guys the documentation that I generally pass out at this training via email, so look for that coming from me, Emily Kramer, and otherwise, we're all set. Have a great afternoon, and I'll see you when session starts.